set.
Camera speed.
Sound production.
Roll sound.
Rolling.
Sound production. Take 2.
Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Remember those childhood movies you loved? Now, we're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Or, your father was right, you were an idiot, and everything you watched was stupid. So buckle up, movie aficionados. Over-the-top gore? Check. Over-embellished action? Check. Gratuitous nudity? Double check. Storylines so absurd you could drive a semi-truck through those plot holes. Oh yeah, some of those movies didn't even know what a movie plot was. And that's the way we liked it. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
1974
and the 2003.
and then the 2003.
Yeah,
Because I remember looking up Texas. I was like, there's a lot of them.
there's a few of them. Yeah,
I was like, Jesus, I don't remember this many.
yeah. There's 1, 2, 3. The Renelle Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey Next Generation one,
Yeah.
which is
There's one that
bonkers.
came out in 2022.
There's that one that just came out on Netflix.
Yeah.
And then there's the 2003.
Uh-huh.
Then there's the beginning after that. Then there's the 3D one. And then there's another one before the 22 one. They made a lot of them.
They really have.
Because the one in between the 3D and the 2022 one is with Stephen Dorff. Yeah, they made quite a few.
Jiminy Crickets.
Each varying in tone and
Yeah.
budget and yeah. All right. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. We are on our third verses. First
Mhm.
was Child Play versus Child's Play remake, Nightmare on Elm Street versus Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and now the Texas Chainsaw Massacre versus the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. Let's start with 1974. What do you remember about that movie?
I remember, and here's where I remember it making me exceptionally uncomfortable. I remember it being very creepy. I remember it putting me on edge because it was realistic.
Yeah, I did shoot in that documentary style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, super flashy lighting or,
No.
intricate sets or anything. Like it was literally, this could be real life. So it was a disturbing. I should probably put this as a disclaimer. Texas Chainsaw Massacre films in general make me very uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and I don't like them.
Inbred
Like,
family with chainsaws and
yes,
cannibalism and
it's really, and this
yeah.
is why I don't like the country. Okay, like cities I can deal with. Out in the middle of nowhere, no,
It's the only thing
no.
stopping me from moving to Texas.
For me, it's the politics, but whatevs.
Where King of
I
the
have
Hill almost has me moving to Texas.
911 Lone Star has me almost moving to Texas.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean, if all the firefighters look like that, I'm down. Just delicious. But that's another story for another day. I do have cousins who live in Texas. I've never been to visit them. I should probably do that.
I should probably do that. It's probably really nice there. Looks really nice there.
Well, I mean, I'd go to Austin. I think my cousins live in Dallas. I could do that. As
Yeah.
long as I was in a city, I'd be fine. But if anybody said, "Hey, let's go like drive out to the country and camp," I'd be like, "Fuck you. Not
Yeah.
gonna happen. Nope." And that's why the 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre creeped me the fuck out. Because it's especially because it's 1974, there are no cell phones. There's no escape.
No. No,
No.
you're on your own.
Yeah.
We did not watch this in 1974.
Mm,
No. The first time I watched this was actually early 90s. And
mm.
I would have saw no, I'm really bad for watching movies chronologically. I don't think I've ever watched a horror franchise from the beginning. I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and 3 before I saw this one. I actually saw this with buddies. We would rent horror movies weekend type things and hang out and watch them. But when you're with a bunch of guy friends or friends in general, you kind of like make stupid jokes.
Yeah.
I that's what we did through. So I didn't really I enjoyed it on a different level. And I just remember the one where the girl's just running through the woods screaming and he's chasing her and it went on and on and on. And then we're like, oh my God, will you please kill this chick? Jesus Christ.
See, whereas I saw it in the mid 90s by myself late at night
Yeah.
on a specialty channel.
Yeah. See, now I did see it a couple years later by myself, and it was a little more creepier when
Mhm.
you're actually paying attention to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, should we talk about well, let's talk about the third one. Let's talk about the 2003. We'll do it this way. Um, what do you remember about 2003?
The one scene from the 2003 movie that is burned in my brain.
I think I knew that scene. I think I remember
Yeah,
us talking about it.
they
Yeah.
pick up the girl on the side of the road in their little I think it was a minivan, it felt like a minivan, and she pulls a gun out of her nether regions, and that moment is seared on my brain.
Is that this one or the next one?
No, it's this one because
It is this one? Okay.
Jessica
Jessica Biel.
Biel is in
Okay.
the 2003, and I remember her being in the scene and being horrified that this girl who's terrified pulls a gun out of her hoo-ha
Yeah.
because
Coochie
she ain't
gun.
got no pockets.
No, it's a coochie gun.
It's a Gucci. Oh my god, it's a pussy
And
pistol.
after
Uh,
this movie, she probably would. Yeah, when you see the guy with the chainsaw, she probably wish she hit a bigger gun.
right? It
Yeah.
was already a pretty big gun. Like when she pulled it out, I was like, "How? What?" And I was traumatized. Traumatized. So this was but I feel like the 2003 didn't other than that one scene, didn't disturb me as much as the 1974. I feel like I that's how I remember it. But mind you, also Jessica Biel.
Yeah. I had a
She's my
crush on
favorite
Jessica
actress.
Biel.
Who didn't?
Yeah.
Who didn't?
She's an actress?
She does act on occasion. She does more than just Maxim magazines.
She's so pretty. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She would have been in
Maxim.
tons Stuff
Well,
magazine, Maxim
that was
magazine.
why
Yeah.
she got in trouble because she was on Seventh Heaven,
That's right.
the super Christian show, and then she did I think it was Maxim. She did, like, a cover of Maxim. She wasn't even showing that much. Like, it was super tame,
No.
but obviously the Jesus producers, like, had a moment, and they were like I think they ended up, like, almost suspending her for a little bit and then trying to rehabilitate her.
Was she on that show? Was this movie on during Seventh Heaven? Or
No,
was
I
it
don't think
after?
so. I think it was
Okay.
after.
Yeah,
I
because
think
that was
this was her "I'm a grown ass woman" vibe when she was trying to establish that she's not just, like, a super Christian.
well, this seemed to be like the stepping
Oh, no, it was
stone.
still on.
Oh,
Apparently, Seventh Heaven ran until 2007.
wow. They
She
probably
wasn't
were
on
not
it for the
happy.
last few seasons, though.
Oh, okay.
Like, that was she wasn't on it for the last few se why do I remember this? Why did I watch Seventh Heaven?
Mm.
Um, I know, it's a character flaw. I watch a lot of really bad TV, apparently, with a bunch of very questionable people in the shows. But anyways,
Oh,
but yeah,
yeah,
no.
yeah, he wasn't yeah,
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 the dad was, like,
yeah.
a pedophile.
It's worse when
Traumatizing.
they're all preachy and then they get caught.
Oh, yeah,
Like, nice.
100%. It's fantastic, though, because that's usually how it runs. But yeah, so my whole thing is, like, she was trying to break away. Jessica Biel's not the greatest actress. She's gotten better over the years, but at this point, she was terrible.
Don't listen to Jessica, I think you're great.
But Eric Balfour is in it, and I love him.
I remember really liking this movie.
I remember liking it-ish. I it's hard to get past the trauma of the cooch gun. Like, it's like
Yeah.
that
I don't even remember I'm gonna be looking for the coochie gun now.
well, that's because you don't have a coochie.
Yeah.
Because I was relating the fairly large gun that she pulls out. Because this wasn't a 22 she was pulling out from her cooch. Okay, this looked like a 45. I was like, "How is that up there? How are you walking with it up there?" Like, your pelvic floor is not that strong. I had a whole moment, but I remember the movie overall being not bad. I don't I don't remember thinking it was great, but I
Mhm.
don't remember hating it either.
Okay, yeah. See, I remember thinking it was great, and I remember do remember a lot of people like, and it's always the same. Like, it's not as good as the original. Why do you have to make it? And like again, Texas Chainsaw. That's not our era of horror. Our era
Mm-mm.
of horror is like late '80s, early '90s, mid '90s. Um, yeah, it's a hard argument.
I have I hate it when people, especially when they're looking at remakes or reboots, and I hate it when they compare it to the original. Now,
Yeah,
you can say either they took the inspiration from the original and either made it better, or they didn't convey the message enough or the story enough, like they weren't clear. You can say that stuff. But when you're like, it's not as good as the original, well, no shit, Sherlock.
yeah.
But that's because each movie has its own goal to achieve. Stop thinking they all have the same goal.
Yeah, and you have that mindset too, where like I remember hearing Quentin Tarantino saying that the '80s is probably the worst decade of movies, but he was in his 20s in the '80s,
Mm.
where we were kids, and for being kids, the '80s were fantastic. But yeah, everyone's different. I remember liking it.
I remember not hating it. Like I remember thinking it was okay. It was good.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. I was way more traumatized by this one than the 1974 one. I'll put that out there.
All right, let's take a look at the box office for 1974. A budget of $140,000. October 1st, 1974, it came out. It was one of those ones that didn't really go into the box office. It kind of did its
Mhm.
own thing around the different, but it made almost $31 million domestic. Again, international, it made $1,378. I don't know where it made that, but I made a lot of money in
Uh,
1974 for $140,000. Yeah.
Continental Europe probably wouldn't have aired this at all. That
No.
1,378 was probably from one independent theater or one independent cinema in the UK. I could see that. But yeah, not a chance they would have aired
No.
this.
And it stayed in theaters for 117 weeks. A lot of drive-ins. I did read it. It was a huge drive-in staple, and
Mhm.
yeah. So whoever put up the money, whoever had it, they made a lot of money back.
I mean, 140,000 is actually a pretty high budget for a horror movie in the 70s.
Yeah,
They put
yeah,
some
I
money
guess
into
so.
this.
Yeah. Okay, and we'll move on to the 2003. Now it had a budget of a lot lower than I thought, $9.5 million.
That is a lot lower.
Yeah, considering we were looking at Friday 13th reboot, which had 20 something, I think, and
Mhm.
Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 had like 35. It came out October 17th, 2003, opening weekend of almost $29.1 million. Domestically, it made 80.5. Internationally, it made over 26. So
Amazing.
worldwide, $107 million, and it opened in 3,016 theaters, and it was number one when it opened. And so it made a lot of money too.
Well, they picked the perfect time to release it, a couple weeks
Oh
before
yeah.
Halloween, and this is when there was a resurgence of horror movies, which had a lot like, it expanded the audience for horror movies a lot at this point.
This is when also like House on Haunted Hill and Ghost Ship and all them were coming out, and
Yeah,
yeah, so horror was
it
late
was
night.
having a renaissance.
All right, so let's go to the tail of the tape. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974 is a horror slash mystery and thriller. That's Rotten Tomatoes telling me this. It's rated R and comes in at a, a butchered lean 1 hour and 23 minutes.
Interesting.
Taglines: Who will survive and what will be left of them?
Eh,
Can you survive? It happened.
I think that would've been better if it was just "Can you survive?"
Yeah. Yeah. If it didn't have that little.
Yeah.
What happened is true. Now the motion picture that's just as real.
No, that's a terrible tagline.
America's most bizarre and brutal crimes.
Eh.
Synopsis. When Sally, Marilyn Burns, hears that her grandfather's grave may have been vandalized, she and her paraplegic brother, guess who's not making it out of this movie, Franklin, Paul A. Partain, set out with their friends to investigate. After a detour to their family's old farmhouse, they discover a group of crazed, murderous outcasts living next door. As the group is attacked one by the chainsaw wielding Leatherface, Gunnar Hansen, who wears a mask of human skin, the survivors must do everything they can to escape. I had no idea about the first part of this movie.
Neither did I. I do not remember that.
I don't remember at all. I remember a lot of people running and
I was like, there was a whole story that brought them to
yeah. I thought they
countryside of
just
Texas.
I keep maybe it's the newer one. I just thought they broke down in Texas and
I thought it was just a
unfortunately it
road
was with these
trip.
people. Yeah.
Huh, you learn something new every day. I did not remember that part.
Yeah, I did not remember I'm kind of remember the paraplegic guy now. Now that they said it.
Well, once you
I
showed that picture, I was like, right, the
yeah.
guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah, he doesn't make it. Spoiler alert. He might make it. I don't remember. I don't think he does. I'm
I
pretty
don't think
positive
does
he
either.
doesn't.
I'm
I think I
pretty
remember the
positive
ending
doesn't.
fairly well. All right. And the poster. Dun, dun, dun. I don't like it. I guess it's iconic.
It looks like the cover of a Pulp Fiction novel.
Yeah, it does. One of those magazine things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
For those listening, it has who will survive and what will be left of them. It has a girl. Is that a window or
A
a
door,
meat hook? I think
maybe?
that's a meat hook in the blanket behind her.
Very possible.
Leatherface is in front of her. His chainsaw. I like how the chainsaw is going down over the Texas part.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't like this poster.
No, it's a terrible poster because
No.
they also have everything on it. It's who will survive and what will be left of them. Then America's Most Bizarre and Brutal Crimes is also there. And
Yeah.
then What Happened is True. Now the motion picture that's just as real. Why do you have all three of those on there?
Probably because it was like 3 of them, and they were like, "Fine, we'll put them all." And the guy who
They
got Who Will Survive
needed
and
to
What
fill
Will Be
the
Left of Them, he won
spice.
he got the big straw.
Let's be real.
All right, let's move on to
Yeah,
2003
there wasn't
Tale of
enough
the
in the
Tape.
marketing budget to like fill up the page.
Yeah. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 version was released in 2003. It's just a straight out horror. It's R and comes in a little beefier 1 hour and 35 minutes.
Ooh.
Taglines. Inspired by a true story.
That's not a real tagline.
No. What you know about fear doesn't even come close.
No.
You want scary? This is scary.
Never tell an audience that.
That's it.
Those are terrible taglines. Terrible.
Synopsis. In this remake of the horror classic, a group of young travelers included Aaron, Jessica Biel, Andy, Mike Vogel, and Morgan, Jonathan Tucker, comes across an isolated rural home while driving through Texas. This is the road trip one, I think.
Yes.
Unfortunately for them, the decrepit house is the residence of a family of deranged backwoods killers, most notably a hulking masked brute known as Leatherface, Andrew Brunarski. Brunarski? Yeah.
Sure.
Who begins to hunt the stranded youths down? Will any of the friends survive the nightmarish ordeal?
Well, yeah, somebody has to.
Yeah. And here is the poster for 2003. I like this. Yeah.
I like
It's
it.
creepier than I like it a lot better
Oh, yeah.
than the 74 one. I
Yeah.
kind of like the DVD of this one better. For those listening, it's kind of just Leatherface is quarter of his face is showing,
Mhm.
and then underneath there's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It is creepy looking.
Yes.
I didn't see a chainsaw.
Does that make you upset that there's no
A
chainsaw?
little bit.
I understand.
It's called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, not close up of a freak.
Oh, you got problems. God bless.
Yeah. All right. Rotten Tomatoes. All right. So the 1974 version has 70 critics giving this movie 89%.
Mm.
That is high. Not as high as
Hmm.
Nightmare on Elm Street 1984, but pretty freaking high. 100,000 audience members of Rotten Tomatoes give it 82%. Again, high. Very high for
That's
a horror
really
film.
high.
Yeah. Critic consensus. Thanks to a smart script and documentary style camera work, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre achieves start to finish suspense, making it a classic and low budget exploitation cinema.
Hmm.
So let us start with the fresh. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. That sound, for those who have heard it, is unforgettable, and the sheer shock of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remains an all time high for the genre. Howard Waldstein, CBR. Why can't I read?
Okay. A masterclass in how to do unrelenting horror right, how to use every tool at your disposal to grip your audience and not let them go. James Kendrick, Q Network Film Desk, original score 4 out of 4.
Impressive. This
Yeah.
movie is nothing but an exercise in tension, grotesque, looming, filthy tension. And on that count, the film works extremely well. Chris Stuckman, chrisstuckman.com, original score A minus.
Morally retrograde it may be, but then so are nightmares. The point is that this one, though often crude and raw, really leads the imagination. What also works in its favor is that it doesn't pretend to do anything more than scare the pants off you. Derek Malcolm, Guardian.
Impressive.
All right. Rotten.
A despicable film about five young people traveling through the desolate flatlands of Texas who seek refuge in a mansion. Craziness handled without sensitivity is a degrading, senseless misuse of film and time. Linda Gross, Los Angeles Times. She really didn't like it.
The movie is some kind of weird, off the wall achievement. I can't imagine why anyone would want to make a movie like this. And yet it's well made, well acted, and all too effective. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times, real score 2 out of 4. Sounds like he's giving it a compliment. Well, he is giving it a compliment, but we've said this
Ish.
before. Yeah, Roger Ebert notoriously hates horror movies.
True. This abattoir of a movie boasts sledgehammers, meat hooks, and chainsaws, and the result, though not especially visceral, is noisy, relentless, and about as subtle as having your leg sawed off without anesthetic. Chris Peachment, timeout.
Oh, it was descriptive.
You called it an abattoir of a movie. I'm like, dude. I mean, not far off, but
Now we go to IMDb. 176,000 user ratings. Give
wow.
it 7.4 out of 10. That is so friggin' high. This also holds the record of the amount of fucking user ratings. My God, the amount of user ratings on this one. Wow. A lot of them are good though. All right, you may start.
Okay. The one, the only, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. 10 out of 10, Mr. Pig.
Mr. Pig. I'm shook. My cat is shook. 9 out of 10, Matthew Seal. I like that one.
That's a good one. The Pornography of Terror. 8 out of 10, The Triad. Valid.
Mm-hmm. A very disturbing and distressing classic. 7 out of 10. And Sango.
Kinda good, kinda not, but a classic. 6 out of 10, S.J. Holland.
I think I understand what they're talking about there.
I think so too.
Yeah. Okay, I got 3 of these. They're just funny. The cast of Scooby Doo come to a sticky end. Pritchard's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over rated. Finn Frost 86. The best part of this movie, it inspired the remake. Billy Bufford Stick. The cast of Scooby Doo.
Not even close to its reputation. 4 out of 10, Juhani Hakarinen? Hakarinen?
Sure.
Hakarinen. I'm going with that.
Absolutely the biggest letdown of any movie I've waited 37 years to see. 3 out of 10. Eddie Eds 61.
Damn, Eddie. Just because it's old and so are you doesn't mean it's a masterpiece. 2 out of 10, Rob D. Krotz.
We'll take turns on this because there were a lot of 10 out of 10s. There
Mhm.
were quite a few 1 out of 10s. So I'll start. What the fuck did I just watch? Belfry, 1 out of 10.
Horror classic My Ass, R.M. Tevin.
Terrible. This movie should be Chainsaw Massacred. Samaru, 1 out of 10. And you can have the last one. Oh, no, that was the last one. I'm sorry.
That was the last one.
Okay.
That was
Classic, my ass.
classic My Ass.
All right. Now we're moving on to Rotten Tomatoes for the 2003 version. 159 critics, so much reading, give it 37%. Not great, not the worst
No,
we've seen.
true.
250,000 audience give it 58%. Now that's actually for a horror movie. That's
Mhm.
kind of on the higher end.
It is. It is on the higher end for a horror
Yeah.
movie.
These horror movies with like 95 and 89. Critic consensus: an unnecessary remake that's more gory and less scary than the original. We'll go with the fresh first, and you may start.
Amazing. This stylish remake is as unfairly maligned as the original, especially when it comes to complaints of gore and torture. This take on Leatherface is filled with dread, and several sequences are horrific, particularly Vogel's updated meat hook scene. Joe Lipsett, Horror Queers podcast.
Now I'm kind of remembering that being kind of like, oh gee, oh that's
Yeah.
horrible. Rarely do remakes ever need to be done, and rarely are they ever any good. This one is better. Michael Szymanski,
Mm,
zaptoit.com, original score 4 out of 4.
dang. It's a gory, stylish, and occasionally scary push button factory of shocks and shrieks, remarkably better than anyone had the right to expect. Jamie Russell, BBC.com, original score 3 out of 5.
A bold, boisterous, bloody good time, and any old school horror freak able to get over the how dare they attitude should absolutely find a lot to enjoy here. Scott Weinberg, efilmcritic.com, original score 4.5 out of 5. We use a lot of Scott Weinberg.
We really do.
Yeah.
A bloody good time of a B movie. Richard Roper, Ebert and Roper.
And he took over, Richard Roper took over for Siskel,
Mm-hmm.
correct? Yeah. I liked him too.
Mm-hmm.
Or I like him. I'm pretty sure he's still around.
Yeah.
The Rotten. So utterly unimaginative, it doesn't even count as homage. It's just a smudgy copy of a still chilling original. Maitland McDonald, TV Guide, original score 2.5 out of 4.
For dedicated admirers of the original, this version is just another rehash of the classic. But for newcomers or those who are looking for a good old fashioned scare, then there is plenty of meat on this table. Del Minho, movie mom scores C. Meat on this
That,
table. Nice.
yeah, and that's actually not bad
Yeah, no.
for a bad review. I mean, does convey the sense of being caught in a nightmare, a stupid person's nightmare. Bob Campbell, New York Star Ledger. See, that's a horrible. That's a rotten review. Movie Mom was much nicer.
So much nicer. This is easily the most gruesome, most pointless episode of Scooby Doo ever. Wesley Morris, Boston Globe original score 2 out of 4. Yes, Wesley.
Yeah. I love how the end of the van, it's just so funny.
It's fantastic.
Okay. A contemptible film, vile, ugly, and brutal. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times, original score 0 to 4. He didn't like the
Harsh.
original and he didn't like the remake.
But he liked the original more than he liked the sequel.
Yes. Yeah, he did. Now, 2003, Texas Chainsaw Massacre has 149,000 user ratings and is a 6.2 out of 10, which again
Oh.
is pretty high for a horror movie.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. One of very few remakes I think is better than the original. 10 out of 10, unique particle.
Now, this is a remake. 9 out of 10. Math just chap.
Uh-huh. I had mediocre expectations. Glad to be wrong. 8 out of 10. Helen CMM.
Grim and grimy remake ticks all the right boxes. 7 out of 10. Leof wine Draka.
Mm. Oh my god, I am way too stoned for this. 6 out of 10. Last Liberal 853-253-708.
Okay remake, but it's nowhere near as good as the original. 510. Lone Wolf and Cub.
Help! There's a maniac after me and I'm not wearing a sports bra. 4 out of 10. In black.
I'm guessing they're referring to Jessica Biel.
Most women in movies of this genre were really wearing bras, so I get it.
Yeah. It takes place in the 70s, people. Give them a break. They didn't have bras back in the 70s in the olden days. Bigger, gorier, louder, faster, and worse. 3 out of 10. Anonymous Maxine.
What scares me most are the positive reviews. 2 out of 10. Draith.
I'll start with the first one. I want my 950 back. Green Turtle, 1010.
It's a massacre, all right. Jackson.
I don't think they meant that as a good thing.
No.
I want 98 minutes and $6 back. Jay Gangsta, widely different prices in theaters back in 2003.
Apparently. Utterly no redeemable value. I want my 100 minutes back. Punish the director now. M. Cartha.
Oh, this one, yes. And the last one, 1 out of 10. Anyone who has seen any version of this film knows this is the most shitty nonsense of all horror films and films of any kind. All the B movies and all the seasons of Seventh Heaven are way better. Nikki.
Oh my god. Also, you said this movie takes place in the does it take place in the 70s?
I don't know.
I don't remember it taking place in the 70s, but their outfits kind of suggest it.
Yeah, I think it does take. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Well, we're about to.
We're going to find out. So it's an exciting time for one and all.
All right. Well, let's take a look. Again, doesn't matter if it's Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday 13th. The original always has better reviews, has people bitching about the new ones.
Mm-hmm.
I think so far, because we both like Friday 13th remake better.
Yes.
And we both like the Child's Play remake better.
Yes.
And we both like 2010 of Nightmare on Elm Street.
We both liked it. But you preferred.
I preferred the
OG, and I preferred 2010.
Yeah, but I did say I would rewatch 2010 before I watched the original.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we seem to like all the all the new ones. All right,
we do.
Well, just because, yeah, it's like that one said. Just because it's old and you're old, fuck off. Don't have to watch. Don't force me to watch it.
We may find the remakes or the reboots more watchable.
Yeah,
like on repeat. However, we do appreciate the originals, except for me with Child's Play.
Yeah,
I had issues with that.
Play, but you was more of an actor than
it was more of an actor, but also the movie itself was just not. I have such a problem with that, like one bad actor, and I'm like, fuck this movie.
But none of these movies were of our era. None of them. No. We either weren't born or very, very young.
Correct.
So, whatever. Let's watch the preview for 1974.
What happened was true. The most bizarre and brutal series of crimes in America. just as real. Just as close. Just as terrifying as being there. Even if one of them survives, what will be left? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. After you stop screaming, you'll start talking about it.
Sorry, was that the girl you and your friends just wanted to die?
Yeah, we just want her to die already. Because I think she's screaming for
A long
a
time.
good minute.
Yeah.
Like 15 minutes or so, she's running and screaming.
I feel like this movie is going to have a lot of really high-pitched screaming.
Yeah. Now, I find horror movies done in the late 60s and the 70s and early 80s to be creepy automatically.
Yes.
Just because of the graininess. And this trailer looks 4K, or they redone it. It looks a lot crisper than I remember. I don't know if that's going to work against it. Because
Maybe.
I will be honest, it still does look creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Looks
No, I
very
was nauseous
creepy.
through the majority of that.
Yeah. All right. What are your
Yeah.
predictions for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974?
I think I'm going to like it. I think I'm going to like it a lot. I also think it's going to make me want to puke.
One of the things I was reading when I did this is that everyone remembers it being this very scary and tense, gory movie. And a lot of people are saying it's not as gory as you remember. There was not a lot of blood and stuff.
Mhm.
But there were, like, when he was picking her up to go put her on that hook and everything, and that guy's legs were kicking.
Yeah.
It did look fucking fucked up.
Well, it's also, you don't see that guy's head being taken out by the sledgehammer.
No.
But you see the sledgehammer coming down to where his head is at.
Yeah.
So that in itself, your mind fills it out. And I think that's why it was such an effective horror movie. Because regardless of whether or not you see the gore, if your mind is fucked up enough, it fills in those gaps
Yeah.
and it messes with you. So I think there's going to be a lot of that, and it's going to be very interesting. And I think I'm going to like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm gonna like it too. Looks creepy.
Mhm.
I love 60s and 70s, and I love all horror movies really, but I find the older ones just being creepy. Even black and white ones I find creepy just because of that older
Mm.
grainy look at. But yeah, it looks fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have left that guy in the wheelchair too.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, buddy.
100%. But also, why are you taking a guy in a wheelchair through the woods
Yeah.
in the middle of the night
Yeah.
by yourself?
I'm sure we're gonna find out why, but yeah,
Yeah, we
you
definitely are.
you know he ain't making it. All right, let's watch 2003. I think it takes place in the 70s.
Tell me how much you love me. How much? That much? That much. That much.
Hey, are you okay?
They're all dead. They're dead, man.
I'm gonna have to call the cops, I guess. Excuse me.
What the hell was that?
What?
I just saw something.
All right, that's it. If somebody's out there, just come on out.
What is that? The hitchhiker. What were they all doing here?
What the hell are you doing in my house?
You're all gonna die.
That was a better trailer. The 74.
What's that?
That was a better trailer.
Than the 1974 one?
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
was creepier. That was a creepier trailer.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
the 74 is very raw,
Yeah.
and it does have that documentary style. This one looks more like a horror movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
This one looks good too. I like all the
Also,
actors. I forgot about what's his name? R. Lee Remy? Remy? R. Lee Remy?
maybe.
The sergeant guy? The
Oh,
guy who
yeah.
plays the
Yeah,
police
yeah, yeah.
officer who actually is the leader of the family. I love him. I loved him in Frighteners. I loved him in Full Metal Jacket. Anything he was in, I loved him.
Yeah, no. He's great. I mean, most of the actors I recognize just because
Yeah. All the kids.
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can confirm it does take place in the 70s.
Yeah.
However, they're all wearing 2000s versions of clothing from the 70s,
Yeah.
which God bless. I mean, I get it, but still.
Well, the guy who directed it he does music videos.
He does music videos.
I think every remake, Friday 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Nightmare on Elm Street were all done by the directors. Their main gigs before these movies were music videos.
Which I mean makes sense.
Yeah, if you want like that stylish look. And
Mhm.
so, what's your predictions for 2003?
I think I'm gonna like it. I think I'm not gonna love it. I don't know. It could go either way. Uh,
Yeah,
I want to say I'm gonna like it. I remember. Do I remember liking? I remember liking it, but not thinking it was that great. So I think I'm still gonna feel that way.
I remember liking it. It looks good. This looks more like a horror movie, where the other one looks more like a documentary.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I can like both of them. We'll have to see which one we like better.
Yeah.
Like I can't predict that.
I
But
know.
yeah, I think I'm gonna like both of them.
Yeah, I think I like both of them. I can't wait to see which one I'm gonna like more.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of curious because they both
Yeah.
look good on different levels, complete different
Yeah.
levels. Yeah.
For different reasons, they both look good. So I'm like, I wonder which one is gonna speak to me more now.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go get the kids and tell them that we're gonna watch movies. And we'll
And you're
sleep in
gonna
their
stay
own
up half
beds
the
for
night
yeah.
while they have
We
nightmares?
sleep in your room. I'll be on the couch.
Guys.
All right. Well, we are gonna go watch 2 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, and when we come back, we're gonna review them and see what we think of them, and then see
Mhm.
which one is better. Anything you want to add before we go?
I'm going to be watching these during the day because these movies make me very uncomfortable. That's it.
I am a man, so but I probably because the kids will be at school, I probably too will watch them during the day just
Mm,
because the
mm.
kids.
Just because of the kids, yes. Because it's impossible for you to watch a horror movie while the kids are at home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, these movies don't bug me as much at night. Now, The Conjuring or Annabelle, I don't like watching those at night. Creepy
Oh, see,
fucking
those
movies.
don't bother me at night
Really?
at
Oh, I
all.
fucking hate them.
No. You know why? Because 1, I don't have any creepy dolls in my house, so I'm safe from Annabelle. 2, my house is not haunted. Uh, at least not that I know of, but even if it was haunted, like, I'm cool with the ghosts in my house. But 3, this shit's real. There are some crazy ass like, this stuff is based on a true story, and that's what fucks me up. When stuff is realistic, like when there's,
Yeah.
like a serial killer or thing that unnerves me more than, super killers or, stuff flying across the room for no apparent reason. I'm like, that I can handle.
Yeah.
Thinking that one of my neighbors could just like hang me from a meat hook? No, that's super uncomfortable.
See, when it's realistic like that, I'm like, I either can fight back or use a child as a shield. When it's something like a ghost and you can't do anything, that's what bugs me. I got five kids. That's 5 possible possessions.
Yeah, see, that
And
does
I'll
not
kill a
work.
kid if
I
it just looks at me and it starts if I say
you're
red rom, that's not the thing to do around me. You either will be dead or grounded, one or the other.
Oh my god.
No, I probably will. I'll be watching these two during the day too. They both look good. I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
like both of them. I hope I'm gonna like both of them.
Well, we're
It,
gonna find out.
yeah, it's never good when these movies suck.
Oh
I
god.
mean, it's good shitting on them, but it sucks as a viewing experience.
Yeah, because then you end up, you're like, that's an hour and a half I can't get back.
Yeah,
God
and it
damn it.
destroyed any memory I had of liking them.
Yeah.
All
This
right.
movie has been this whole podcast has been very detrimental to my like movie memories.
Yeah, yeah.
Just ruining them left, right, and center.
All right. Well, we're gonna go watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When we come back, we will review them.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And now, on with the show.
Well, hello there.
How's it going?
It's going okay. How are you?
Good. All right. Welcome back. So now we're gonna go way back to 1974. Have you watched the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1974?
Oh boy, have I ever.
Me
Oh
too.
boy.
What's your initial thoughts?
I wanted everybody in this movie to die immediately.
That's not nice.
So look, it was fine. Um I didn't feel afraid, but I felt really grossed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, my initial thoughts. I know it sometimes is referred to as the perfect horror movie. It is not.
No.
Some even say it is the scariest. It is not.
No.
They call it a masterpiece. Um, that that one's a little trickier, just because I will get into it.
Yeah.
The acting, direction, and the story, while for its time must have, well, it was, I guess, game changing, is not today, but it was super creepy.
Oh yeah, no, creep factor was high. I'll give it the creep factor.
It was annoying at times.
It was so annoying. So annoying.
It looked
I
great. It was shot well.
I will give it that.
Um,
100%.
and while not perfect, the directing has to be applauded because I don't know if he meant to do it on purpose, that documentary style.
Mm,
Like even with the upgrade, the UHD, whatever I watched it at, it still had that old, almost found footage 8mm look.
yeah. No,
Um,
I really liked that part.
yeah, the acting was, how should we put it? Not very consistent.
That was very kind of you. I was gonna say it was super shitty.
But the screams were loud.
Oh, the screams were so loud and so plentiful.
Yeah, you knew when a bitch be screaming.
Oh God. Although I will say I was very impressed with um oh God, what was her name? The one in the blue tank top.
Pam?
Is Pam the one that the final girl? God
No, that was
bless.
Sally.
No, Sally.
Sally's
Okay,
the
so Sally,
final girl.
like there was one point where she literally just screamed for like 10 minutes of the movie. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's impressive. I will give her that 100%.
Oh, her throat must have just been killing. Like, because it wasn't just one take.
No, it was multiple takes of her just like straight screaming. And I was super impressed. Like, let's be clear, I was very impressed, but I was also incredibly annoyed. And I have never wanted a final girl to die so much in my life because I'm like, at least then she would stop screaming. I understand what she was going for. I understand what the director was going for. So I'm not angry about that, but God, it was annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, and the screaming, like it was very close to what my scream pitch would have been when that door flew open and Gunnar
100%.
Hansen was standing.
Yes, that would have been you.
Not my
100%.
favorite horror film, but I had
No.
fun. I had fun mocking it. I had
Yeah.
fun looking at the runtime, going, "Where the fuck is Leatherface?"
It was a
Like,
lot of like slow buildup.
yeah, and I should make this clear. I wasn't bored.
No.
I enjoyed watching it for what it was like, and I will get into it. But the movie was oozing indie film.
It felt
Um,
very indie. It felt very
and it was his
um
first film, and it was an independent film, very independent.
very, very.
Because
And
we talked about
it's
150,000 being the budget. When I looked doing some research, they 80,000 of that was procured after filming to help with editing, marketing, and all that
oh,
stuff. So they had maybe 70,000 for the actual film.
okay,
So
that makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
That makes a lot of like, don't get me wrong, I don't think they built up a lot of suspense in the movie, and I don't think they built up sympathetic characters. Because honestly, in the I didn't care if anybody died. Like, by the
No.
time Leatherface showed up, I didn't care if anybody was gonna die or not. I was like, "I'm not rooting for any of you."
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No. Part of the fun for me too was like, why has no one stabbed Franklin yet?
Right?
Like, and then I had fun forgetting, realizing there was a lot more craziness than the 6'4", 350-pound psychotic man child.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I had fun during this movie, but for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, I did not come away from this movie thinking that was a horror masterpiece.
No, no.
I think it was revolutionary for its time and for pushing the envelope
Yeah,
for what horror was. 100%. I just it was more gross than anything else. Like, it left
yeah.
me feeling very unsettled, so it accomplished that 100%.
Oh, yeah,
And it
yeah.
made me feel very nauseous too, because there was just sometimes I was like, "Man, that's a like, there was some stuff that I was like, "Oh god, they did that." So, it was nice, it was good, it was fun to watch, but I don't mm, it was okay.
All right, well, let's, because I went into, I got some information on the movie afterwards,
Yeah.
and I also had fun because I only truly saw this movie twice ever. Like, I've seen a lot of clips on TV,
Uh-huh.
a lot of horror documentaries like this movie, and clips from they if it was like a movie where it was talking about horror,
Mhm.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974 was always included. But I watched it really once by myself, and the other time was with a bunch of friends. So a lot of this was quite new to me, or it felt new.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go through and warning, there is not a lot of plot. I could not find a very big plot. And a more straightforward film you will not find.
Nope,
Like, teens visit old family home, go next door to get some gas. Teens are brutally murdered. The
pretty
end.
much.
I didn't miss a whole lot there of the actual
Nope.
story. That's pretty much it. But we'll go over the plot, which I said might be the shortest one we have ever had. But I'm more than positive that we have a bit to talk about.
Mhm.
And on a fun note to start, is it Toby or Tobe? Hopper? Hooper?
I think it's Toby.
Toby?
Yeah.
This silly bitch was convinced he was making a PG movie. He actually went to the ratings board, the MPAA, and got all the information he needed to get a PG rating. So he used blood sparingly, as we can attest to, and
Correct.
did a lot of off camera where we only heard and saw like the feet
Mhm.
kicking or arms filling. No nudity. He even cut back on the language. But when this chooch sent it in to get rated, they were like, "What the fuck?" and gave him an X rating.
He
But
really thought this was going to be PG?
that's what he was trying to do, to get more. So, because it was independent, he thought he could get more people to see it at the drive-in, more people to go in the theaters to see it. And he told them, I used off camera, I used very little blood. And by actually doing this, it made it worse. It made it even more horrifying.
Oh, yeah, no.
He
As your
actually
imagination goes.
Oh, yeah, and he actually thought he could get it down to PG, and he tweaked it until he finally got it to an R, and then said, "Fuck it," and released it. But he thought, yeah, this was gonna be a
Jesus.
family film. Come on, kids, we're gonna go watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Does not compute.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah, he had
not
the same
compute.
problem with part 2. He actually directed the sequel, and he had the same problem with that one.
Jesus.
He was trying to yeah, I don't know.
God bless. God bless.
Okay. The film opens with an eerie prelude, including an introduction and radio broadcast about several gruesome grave robbings. Sally Hardesty, I guess that's her last name, her wheelchair-bound brother Franklin, Sally's boyfriend Jerry, her best friend Pam, and Pam's boyfriend Kirk are driving to an old homestead in Texas. On the way, they stop at a local cemetery so Sally can relieve her concerns of her grandfather's grave being vandalized. The group later picks up a strange-looking hitchhiker who bumbles incoherently and crazily. He takes a picture of the gang, cuts himself with a razor, and then cuts Franklin. The group shoves the crazy man out of the van and drive off. The hitchhiker smears blood all over the van as the group drives away. First, I don't know if it's because Night Court is still predominantly in my so engraved in my head, but you could tell that was John Larroquette right off the hop.
Well, yeah, he has a very distinctive voice. He has a very, very distinctive voice, so that makes sense.
He knew Toby Hooper, and he did it for a joint. That was his payment, one joint.
Must have been some good shit.
Yeah. With what I just read, we're almost 20 minutes into the movie.
Yes.
18, 19 minutes into the movie. So are you enjoying yourself thus far?
The crazy hitchhiker is making me uncomfortable.
For some, yeah, he did a great. He went to.
He was batshit.
Yes.
And I know that's not politically correct, but that's the only way you can describe this very mentally unstable, quite possibly something fundamentally wrong with him. Because he was twitchy and he was wearing like a roadkill purse around his neck and he had this camera and he didn't even pull out his own razor. But for some reason, Franklin needed to clean his nails with like a switchblade. I was like, what? So he's cleaning his nails. And then the guy's like, hey, can I see your knife? And Franklin, like a fucking fool, hands it to him.
Yeah.
Then he cuts his hand. Then he gives it back to Franklin. Then he pulls out a razor. He's like, I have a knife. And you're like, what? And then he cuts Franklin. And you're like, I don't understand. And then he sets the picture on fire that he took of them.
Yeah.
He like exploded.
Well, he did ask for $2 for. I think if they gave him the $2, this might have been all.
It's very
avoided.
possible. Who knows? But even before that, like when they stop and say, oh, my grandfather's buried here. And then there's that weird, creepy guy who drags away the girl. And I was like, what the fuck? But you don't see what happens. But the very opening scene where you see where they defiled the body, that was super creepy. And I like that they just stayed static on it. Cause I'm like, that is incredibly unnerving. That was fantastic. But the entire car ride, I was like, these people are fucking morons. Like the minute this guy starts looking a little like off center, you say, oh, you know what? Sorry, we forgot. We actually have to go and run to this different town. We were meant to pick something up. We got to let you off here. That's what you do. You don't sit there, just watch him be crazy, cut himself, cut your friend, and then you kick him out. The entire thing was just very uncomfortable for me.
The guy who played the hitchhiker has said on a few occasions, this is what I read, that in the 70s when this came out, he would go to kind of like meet and greet things and all that, and state troopers and police would come up and shake his hand and say that because of him, that
people finally stopped picking up hitchhikers.
A lot of people, like the hitchhiking crimes had gone down significantly. I don't know what it was, but it was enough for them to notice and go, thanks, dude.
Well, yeah, because there was finally a hitchhiker crime, and then they questioned other people who were driving by, and they're like, "Nah, man, I drove right by him. I watched Texas Chainsaw
Yeah.
Massacre. Picking up a hitchhiker gets you killed."
Yeah.
And everybody's
Yeah.
like,
No
"Oh,
thanks.
thanks." It's like a PSA. It's a PSA against picking up hitchhikers. But yeah, no, up until like it started off with me going, "That's unsettling," with the
Yeah.
grave.
And
And
a very
then
slow burn.
I don't understand, very, very slow burn. And then the hitchhiker gets picked up, and then the hitchhiker ramps up his crazy. Like, initially, he seemed a little off, but, like, whatevs, relatively normal, and then it just got crazier and crazier and crazier until they finally kicked him out of the van,
Yeah.
and also, right off the top, hated Franklin. Hated him so much, wanted
I
him
have
to
a
be the
note.
first killed.
I would have killed Franklin by now. Or you would have seen the van stop, the 2x4s come out and being set up and cut to another static shot. And then you'd see Franklin enter the shot from the right and roll right past and exit on the shot to the left. And then you'd hear or see the van speeding off in the opposite
Yeah.
direction.
Well,
That would
I
have been
made a note
Franklin.
in the car. I don't even think the hitchhiker had been picked up yet. But I was like, Franklin is giving, like, crazy eyes. When he was talking, he was, like, intense and a little offset. I was like, "Are you the killer? Like, you're weird." And then I actually have this was my note. I'm like, "They're mean to Franklin, but God, he's terrible."
Oh,
I actually wrote that down.
yeah.
I was like,
They
"I
weren't mean
kinda get it."
enough.
Right?
And this is the 70s. No one's woke.
Oh,
Like,
nobody was nice in the 70s.
yeah, bully away.
Yeah,
Like, you
like, it
need
was
some bullying.
condoned. They're like, "That's how you build character.
Yeah.
That's how you build character," but I was like, "God damn it, Franklin.
Yeah.
You fucking whiny
Sally.
ass bitch. Just shut
Sally.
up."
Sally, I seen you slid out the van. Why you something? I'm out of the van. I hated Franklin so much.
He was terrible.
When that psycho cut him, he was just doing what everyone was thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is also why they didn't kick him out right after the cut. They waited until he, like, set the picture on fire, folded it up in foil, and put it in his little, like, roadkill purse,
Yeah.
and then they were like, "No, man, you gotta go."
Yeah.
What?
All right. Enough's enough. Yeah. The acting is inconsistent,
Mhm.
except for say Sally, who could scream like the Dickens.
God bless.
Um, to that point, I was cheering for Leatherface, but we'll get to that.
Same.
Leatherface and the cook. Every Leatherface and the cook were good. Everyone else they had their moments and not so good
Yeah.
moments. Fun fact: Franklin stayed in character the entire time, complaining about everything, even when they weren't rolling, and apparently everyone hated him.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sally the most, apparently. They did not get along, and a lot of that animosity in their scenes was actually like the Toby Hooper was like that was real. She hated him.
Valid. Valid. I condone it. 100% I condone it. He was so fucking annoying.
Gunnar
God.
Hansen said that he hated what is his name? Yeah.
Franklin.
The guy who played Franklin. Yeah, but he did
Paul A.
say
Partan.
yes, he did say a few years later he met him at a convention or something and went over just to say hi to be polite, and then he got talking to him and he realized that he is a method actor and he was nothing like Franklin, so much so that they became really good friends right up until the time that Franklin or Partain
Yeah.
died in 2005. So he was just method act. He just thought if everyone hated him off the set, that it would just be better on the set. And yeah, I
I hate
hated him.
method actors. Everybody hated him.
He was too good.
Yeah.
I
Well,
fucking
here's my issue with this, because I think a lot of the animosity from offset was coming onto set, and I think that actually affected the performances
could have.
of some of
Yeah.
the actors negatively.
Yeah.
Like, not in a positive way, because there was no nuance
No.
to any of their performances if Franklin was in the scene. It was pretty much just straight up animosity or ignoring him. And
Yeah.
I was like, aren't these people supposed to be like
Good friends.
kind of friends? Like, I don't
Well, he was
understand.
Sally's brother, kind of like a tag along third
Well,
wheel.
yeah, he was Sally's brother, but they were going to see Sally and Franklin's grandfather's grave, which
Yeah.
makes no fucking sense.
No.
But fine. So I'm like, and I was like, I know Franklin's supposed to be annoying, but nobody's even pretending anymore. And I know they must have been on the road for hours and hours and hours because at that point you hate everybody. But everybody else seemed totally fine.
Yeah. The teenagers arrive at a gas station where the
Proprietor.
proprietor tells them the tanks are empty, and the gang sets off to the home, barely managing to make it to the plantation mansion. I guess it was a it looked like a plantation mansion.
It did.
Tired of Pam and Kirk's annoying foreplay, Franklin tells a couple about a nearby lake, and the two set off. Franklin is getting on my fucking nerves by now. That whole thing with him, that private monologue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not like it. And I know
I did not like it either.
and I think it is something of its time. It was I hated it. I hated it.
The entire scene when they get to the house and then the couples go running off and I'm like, they're tired of Franklin shit. Fine.
Yeah.
Franklin's just like, hey, hey, hey. I was like, guys, I understand you don't like Franklin. Like, I get it. We all get it. But the guy's in a wheelchair and then you're in a broke down like plantation house. Can you just let the guy like help roll him into the house?
Yeah.
You don't have to do also, why are they even bothering to go to the house? It's
Yeah.
about to fall on their heads.
Yeah, I think though, as someone who's never made a movie, I would have made Franklin more sympathetic, or more not as whiny.
The whiny went too far.
Yeah, like have him be
But
kind of cool, crack a couple jokes, or
this was part of the like I understand if he's whiny, but give him some redeeming qualities.
yeah,
Cuz you meet him and you're like I want him to die. And then you
yeah,
see the way all of the other like the two other couples are treating him and you're like I kind of want you guys to die cuz you're a bunch of assholes. Like I don't give a fuck about any of these people. I also barely know anything about them. I'm like two of them like to have sex a lot. Good for you. And they
yeah,
don't care who's watching them. I'm
yeah.
like that's all I know.
I don't know if Hopper wrote him to be annoying or was looking for sympathy, but you're right. Like it was too much.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, you're right. The house, that plantation house, fuck that. Those little skeleton dolls or whatever the hell they were,
Yeah.
the
No.
whole thing screamed, fuck
Fuck it
no.
all. Nope. You see a house like that, you turn around, you leave.
Total Blair Witch vibe.
Mhm.
Using my mute.
Yeah, you are.
But instead, okay, so the two set off, but instead they find a house with a running generator. Pam sits outside while Kirk explores inside the house. Upon entering a secret room, he comes face to face with a large man wearing a mask made out of human skin, Leatherface. Leatherface murders Kirk via a blow to the head with a sledgehammer and drags him into the back room. This is one of the most disturbing kills and coolest scenes
Yes.
from a horror movie. This was genuinely creepy.
I really, really liked that kill.
Yeah, that thud, and he
Yeah.
just drops.
He drops, but then he's twitching. His
Yeah.
legs are kicking, his arms are kicking out, and you just keep saying and hearing like blow after blow. And you're just like, well, you see the swing. You
Yeah.
don't see his head.
No.
So that's where your imagination kicks in, and you're like, man,
And as
his
he's
head is soup
kicking,
by now.
but as he's kicking, you saw Leatherface give him another pop
Yeah.
with the sledgehammer.
Like it was a really great scene, and I really like that kill.
Yes. And first, Kirk, you just don't walk into someone's house and go looking around.
Right?
Yeah, you know what that gets you? Gets you dead. You're in
Well,
Texas.
that was actually a thought that I had where I was like, what? In this movie and the 2003, both of them. I'm like, why is everybody just walking around everywhere?
Yeah.
This
In
is not your
Texas.
house.
Yeah. And it's Texas.
Yeah.
Where it's legal to shoot a person for just being on your lawn. I could be wrong.
I know Florida has that.
But if
The
they
stand
took
your ground
Leatherface to
thing?
court,
I
the lawyer
mean,
would be like, "He just walked in the house, Your Honor, snooping
he was an
around.
intruder.
He was a Democrat. What was my 6'10", 400-pound client supposed to do?"
Yeah, I like how before he was 6'4" and 250 pounds, but
Oh, it gets bigger, yeah.
6'10", 300 pounds.
But he would have gotten off. But how did did Tob Hooper think after watching the dailies or even the first couple edits that this was going to be a fucking PG? Like that whole scene of the blood, there wasn't a ton of blood, but there was enough to know that his head was split open.
Because I think he confuses
Yeah,
showing violence and implying
and
violence.
implying violence.
I think he thinks as long as you don't show the violence.
That's what he was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not showing you the violence, but it's like, no, you're implying it enough that
Yeah.
they come with a clear picture. It's not like, he gets dragged into a room and the door closes and you hear a thump. That would probably get you a PG rating.
Yes.
However, Leatherface standing there bringing a sledgehammer to his head, and then you
And him
hear him, you
kicking
see him.
violently.
Yeah, you're still showing the violence, just
Yes.
not as directly. So I think that's where he lost it. That was his disconnect.
Yeah.
God bless.
Yeah. Well, he thought he was getting the whole family to come out and enjoy his movie.
He was trying to make a family classic.
Yeah. Now this movie is how old now? Like we weren't even born when it was made.
Hold on. It is 49 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Is
So
that even
now
right?
we're
Hold on.
older. Let's say
Sorry,
older.
47 years old. 47
Yeah.
years old.
And it's a disturbing scene, an awesome scene. Like for being that old and still being that.
No. Here's one thing I will give this movie over and over and over again. It's a disturbing movie.
Yeah.
It will make you feel unnerved, very uncomfortable, and it will make you feel icky.
Yep.
100%.
Now that kicking from Kirk might have been not just acting. I guess Gunnar Hansen was very nervous about that was his first scene, and apparently hit Kirk, the actor who played Kirk, pretty hard, and he really threw him off to the side before he slammed that door.
It's fantastic.
And I was like, wow, it took 37 minutes to get there. But that was a pretty good payoff to when you finally got there.
Yeah, I
wish I could have been there in the theater in 1974. People must have just shit themselves.
They would have lost their minds. The only issue, I don't mind it taking 37 minutes. You want to take me 37 minutes to get me there? That's cool. My issue is there was no character development or build up.
No.
That's
None.
my only issue.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't care that Kirk's dead.
No.
I'm sad
It was
because he was cute.
cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was like, okay, what's the next kill? And that's my one nitpick for this movie.
Apparently people walked out after this scene. Some theaters got so many complaints that they pulled the movie.
I get
which
that.
made other theaters and drive-ins want it more.
Yeah.
Like if I read that in the news that they pulled the movie because of disturbing horror, but I would be like, okay, when's it coming to my town? Pam goes into the old house where she stumbles upon a room filled with bones and live chickens. This scene seemed too long.
Entirely too long.
I know the set directors and director had a vision and they put a lot of work into this room, but it seemed a little long. Like they showed us everything.
They showed us everything and it felt very overly dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I understand she's supposed to be freaked out, but.
And Tom and Kevin made the bone couch, and Lisa and Billy made the lamp. Gary plucked those chicken feathers on the floor by hand. Like they could have cut that scene in half, and it would have been just as creepy.
100%.
It probably would have been creepier.
Give me quick flashes.
Yeah, like at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
that would have been
give
way
me
better.
just snippets of it, and let me see the all the freaky shit in quick succession, like she would be seeing it.
Yeah.
And then I'm right there with her. But instead it was this like, I felt like I was watching a video from one of those realtors who's all like, "Let me show you this downtown Toronto gem."
Yeah.
And then they walk you through and you're seeing everything and you're just like, "Just show me the bedrooms, show me the bathrooms. Let me see the view. Let's
Yeah.
get the fuck out." But no, they're like, "And this is the laundry closet." And I'm like, "All you have to do is point at the door and say, 'There's laundry in there.'"
She
But that's what
flees
this
the
felt. It
house.
felt like an overly like, "Let me show you
Oh,
everything."
yeah. Yeah, it was too long. Pam flees the house, but Leatherface catches her
Mhm.
on the front porch and drags her back inside. And as you thought, holy shit, how are they going to top Kirk's kill scene? We get Pam. When she finally gets out of that fucking it seemed 20-minute living room scene and decides to run, and Leatherface opens that door,
Yeah.
and as Pam's getting into the hallway, again, what a creepy fucking, and it's all in daylight.
Yeah.
I'm watching it in daylight and I'm like, oh, that's creepy.
It was. It was
And
very I was and then her whole kill scene, I was like, "Oh god."
yeah, because she screams, he screams, she
Yep.
runs, he chases. The shot of her coming out of that door with him right behind her,
Mhm.
bear hugging her, and just I was like cheering for her to get away. I knew he was gonna get her, but I was like, run, bitch. Yeah, I don't know if that made it creepier because it was the middle of the day or not watching it. I mean, shot in the during the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very,
I
very, very,
always like it when the murders happen during the day
and
because
especially if they could pull off.
yeah,
Yeah,
'cause it feels almost more threatening,
yeah,
because it's like
you
because
expect
bad
it at
things
night.
happen at night.
Yeah.
You think you're safe during the day. So this I kind
Not
of
in this
enjoyed.
movie. Yeah.
No.
No, and that's what I think made it cool. Fun fact, none of the cast was introduced to Gunnar Hansen or Gunnar Hansen dressed up as Leatherface until their
Uh,
actual first scene with him because everyone was killed separately. So they didn't really actually get to see him as Leatherface until their first shot.
oh,
Um,
fantastic.
yeah. So a lot of that could have been real emotion.
It probably was.
Leatherface catches her on the front porch and drags her back inside, where he hangs her on a meat hook in the back room. Again, like you said, we don't see the meat hook go in like the 2003
No.
version, but your imagination, like you were saying with your imagination, and her slowly sliding down was enough to convey that it was probably very painful and a horrible way
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
just hang there and watch.
100%.
She is then forced to witness Leatherface dismembering Kirk with a chainsaw. Again, you don't see it, you hear it.
Nope.
You see Leatherface moving around. You see and hear
Yep.
Pam watching. And I think, again, he was trying to get a PG rating, but what he brilliantly did by mistake was make it more horrible.
Ominous. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
felt more threatening
Yeah. Because you're like, oh,
in
what the
that
fuck's
way.
going on over there? Yeah.
Because your mind fills in the blanks. And
Yeah.
if you're fucked up like we are, you're filling in the blanks real graphically.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
most people will just be like, "Oh, a hook in the back, that must hurt." But then I'm thinking, is it in the spine? Like, is
Yeah.
he separating the vertebrae or is it next to it? Like,
Is
how
it
deep
slowly
does that
pushing
hook
the
go?
skin farther up as it's going?
Are
Yeah.
the muscles going with it? Did it get hooked
Cool.
into a rib? Like, these are my thoughts because I watched a lot of horror movies, also a lot of medical dramas. So I'm like, I want to know everything.
Um, because with no budget or the little that they had, because like I said, it was 150,000, but a large portion went after that. With the effects back in 1974 with a very small budget, had he shown everything, I think as years went on, this movie would not be as well regarded as it is.
Yeah,
Because we've seen
100%.
what like the blood sometimes in 70s and early 80s looks almost too light. Um,
Yeah.
I think,
Especially for a movie that's this low budget,
yeah,
like, because he only had 70,000 to work with for the
yeah,
actual filming.
by him
So
not
my
doing that,
by him not doing that, he definitely upped the quality of it.
yeah, and it kind of made it timeless. Not like it's because you don't see it.
There's nothing that's super
It doesn't
dated
look
when
fake.
it comes to that.
Yeah,
Like,
the
it's
clothing and the
obviously
acting's
still
pretty dated,
dated because it's 70s, but
but the
you're not sitting
effects
there
and
going like, yeah,
yeah,
you know what I'm trying to say.
yep. Yeah, not seeing it, yeah, like you said, using your imagination. It sounded horrific.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was great how that by mistake, obviously, but yeah, by design or not, this worked. Um, the mallet, not the mallet. Where am I here? Oh, evening falls, and Jerry goes to look for Kirk and Pam. He finds the house. He goes inside and enters the back room, even though the room had the door, that big steel door was open, and all those skulls and animal
Uh-huh.
skulls there. He still went through.
That's what you do.
Yeah. Enters a back room where he discovers Pam locked in a freezer, barely alive. Again, creepy.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, that did freak me out a little bit.
Leatherface appears and bashes Jerry with the sledgehammer again. Jerry screams like a girl.
Of course.
I would have totally been Jerry. That's me in the movie. I'll be honest. I thought
Yeah,
Leatherface bashed
it would have
Jerry
been
in
you.
the I thought Leatherface bashed Jerry in the head, put Pam back in the
Mhm.
freezer and closed it. And I thought he was looking around because Jerry scampered off somewhere. Like I actually thought, and then later I'm like, well, where the fuck is Jerry? I didn't realize Leatherface was just panicking about killing a bunch of people. I thought he was looking for Jerry. And because I like 10, 15 minutes later, I'm like, where the fuck did Jerry go? Because I actually thought Leatherface was like, where did Jerry go? No, he killed him. He died.
Amazing.
Night comes soon, and Sally tries to push Franklin along the uneven forest trail in the darkness. This is where Sally and Franklin argue before that about going to look for everyone for what seemed like an hour. This is also where I'm like, will you please stab Franklin or wheel him into a ditch?
Yeah.
Just the whininess. Now, saying that, I was totally with Franklin about just going and because he's like, let's just go. We'll send back help.
Yeah.
Obviously, something bad happened. Why do we have to go into the? I was like, yeah,
And she's all
that's
like, "No, I'm not leaving." He's like, "Well,
Sally. Again, I remind you, a chick. No, I'm gonna go look for them. Just putting that out there.
it's not only
Would
the
you have
girl
gone
could
to
go
look for
looking."
them?
Fuck no.
No.
I would not have gone. No. My friends go swimming. They don't come back. My boyfriend goes to look for them. He doesn't come back.
Yeah.
Night falls.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I'm getting in the
Gone.
car and I'm driving until I find like the state police, not the local sheriff, the state police. Fuck all of y'all. I'm not stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't go looking for my kids. Fuck Pam and Kirk and scream like a girl,
If
Jerry.
we rented a cabin and I walked into the cabin and I hadn't seen my boyfriend for a couple hours, sure. Yeah, I'd go looking for him in the cabin. Out in
In
the
the
middle of
cabin, yeah.
in the cabin that we
Yeah.
rented for the weekend. Sure. On the side of the road in a town we don't live in,
Yeah.
where he goes looking for people after they've gone missing for hours and hours. Fuck no, I'm not looking for nobody.
Yeah.
Everybody's on their own. Fuck you.
And as they're walking, all of a sudden, Leatherface leaps from the shadows and murders Franklin with a chainsaw. Finally.
And everybody cheered.
Thank you.
Can I tell you the
Thank you,
fight that he had with
Leatherface.
the fight he had with Sally before going into the forest?
Oh,
I was
God, that
like
was.
just
He
fucking
wouldn't give
make
her
him there.
wouldn't give her the flashlight. And
He wouldn't give her the flashlight, and I was like, fucking knock. I can't believe I'm about to knock his wheelchair over and take it.
Yeah.
Like, fuck him. Because this is like, if you want to go, go. But he obviously can't drive the van because it's
no, could wheel
they have
himself out of there to the road and just keep going
yeah.
down the road,
I'm
though.
like, just start rolling.
Yeah.
But that's too much. But the whole thing, I was just like, fuck this shit. But yeah, by the time once we saw that fight, and then you see Sally struggling with the wheelchair through the forest
Yeah.
while she's trying to find her boyfriend who's dead.
Yeah.
And her friends who are dead.
Yeah.
I was just like, thank you for finally killing
Yeah.
Franklin. They're all very
I don't know what
candy, though.
Leatherface was doing wandering around the bush with a chainsaw in the middle of the night, but who cares?
Who
Sally
knows?
flees.
Apparently, killing 3 people, not enough.
No, yeah, probably looking for more. Sally flees into the dark woods, Leatherface in pursuit. She endlessly is chased through the woods by Leatherface wielding the chainsaw in one of the most remarkable chase scenes in movie history. That's the plot saying that one of the loudest and annoying chase scenes in movie history. That's Jimmy
Mhm.
Coates saying that. I was like, get her, Leatherface. Shut that bitch up. Get her. Because she screamed and screamed and screamed. And then she screamed some more. That was the scene I was talking about. Me and my friends were kind of half watching it, but then it was like we noticed like this chick is still screaming. Like it's been a while.
Yeah. No, her ability to continuously scream, like, even if it was multiple takes, she had to
Oh,
scream for a good solid few minutes,
went through
and
some
she
lozenges
held
that
that
night.
scream. It
Oh
was it was
yeah.
it was also too much, because 'cause I'm like, "Nobody's coming to save you, girl."
No.
But it was the constant screaming that really got on my nerves, and I was like, I understand you're trying to instill fear and to show us how afraid she is. I'm just annoyed,
Yeah.
and that's not what you want for your viewer.
Yeah. You don't want your final girl to be annoying.
True. True story.
Sally finds the house where all her friends were butchered. She races inside and upstairs. She finds the remains of an elderly couple, the man barely alive, and the woman dead and mummified. I forgot that the man was still alive.
In this scene, I thought he was dead. I'd like to point that out. Less
I thought they were
I
both
was
dead.
about to I thought they were both dead, and it
Yeah.
looked like they were both dead. It's just the woman died way earlier than the man. But I was like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, creepy mummies
Yeah.
in the attic. Ew."
Yeah. Sally then is attacked by Leatherface and she leaps through an upstairs window to escape. There was something here because she sees the dead people and she runs back down the stairs and he comes through the
Mhm.
door.
Yeah.
Apparently, this is the only time a main villain is scared because she comes down and sees him and screams, and he kind of moves back
Yeah.
because he's startled and he screams a bit. But it's actually said that that's the only time a main villain in a movie has ever been scared of the victim.
I mean, makes sense.
But he's supposed to be a man child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
So
he's not supposed to have all of his faculties.
no.
So, that makes sense.
Um, Okay, woman with father, attacked by Leatherface. She runs back into the woods again until
Mm.
she comes upon the screaming. Until she comes upon a gas station. Inside, the proprietor consoles her and then beats her with a broom, ties her up, shoves her in
Mhm.
a truck where he drives her to the house. This was a very unsettling and well acted for this movie because he's being very comforting in his dialogue and his tone while beating
Honestly,
her with a broomstick.
it
It
was
was unnerving.
as it should be. Like, it was so weird,
Yeah. It's
and
like,
it was so just, like, uncomfortable,
yeah.
and I was just like,
Because he
because
was being very nice
he
in his voice
literally
and his words
from the
as
time that
he
he goes
beat her.
with the broom, he went to get the truck, and he
Yeah.
comes back, and then all of a sudden, he's got a burlap sack and some rope,
Yeah. And she's like, oh, something's wrong.
and she's like, "Huh?"
She's no dummy.
But he talks to her very calmly.
Yeah.
He's coaxing her into it, like, "Just don't fight it.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Let's go." And you're just like, "This is fucked up." Then she starts losing her shit. She picks up a knife. The knife gets knocked out of her hand with, like, a soft swat from him,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
apparently I think at this point he had already picked up the broom. She falls because apparently knocking the knife out of her hand completely fucked up her equilibrium.
Yeah.
So then she falls down, and then he just keeps beating her with the broom. Broom breaks. He keeps beating her.
Yep.
And then she finally, I guess, becomes unconscious enough that he
Yeah.
ties her up
And he's
nice
in
and
the,
slow.
Yeah. And she starts screaming again and he's
Yeah.
still calm and talking to her nicely
Still hitting her with the
while
stick.
hitting her with the stick, the broom
Yep.
handle. Yeah, it was very unsettling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're safe now. It's okay. And fucking just
Yeah.
beating her. Sally's tied up at the dinner table, and it is revealed that the hitchhiker, he's referred to as the cook, and Leatherface are all one cannibalistic family. Sally is physically and verbally tormented by the demented family for what seems like hours, and she is almost killed when they try to get Grandpa, the buried alive man that Sally found earlier, to kill Sally with the sledgehammer. But he is too weak to do so. They also get him to come around by cutting her finger and letting Grandpa suck on her finger. That was
That's when I figured out that he was alive.
yeah. When he said, I
Yeah,
was like,
when
oh
they bring her next to Grandpa, and I was like, "Is this gonna get into some, like, weird necrophiliac bullshit?" But it didn't. Instead, they
no,
cut her finger, stuck it in Grandpa's mouth, and I was like, "Oh god." I was already grossed out at that point.
yeah.
Then he
But when he
starts
started
sucking on the
sucking
finger.
on
I
it,
was like,
yeah,
"Oh god. Oh Jesus. Oh my god. Oh god." And what was it? I was like, "Oh god." This is my literal note. I need you to literal. "Oh god, Grandpa's alive. Vomit."
yeah.
Oh, and before that, I feel like I need to say this. Um, slowly chainsaw sawing. Oh, slowly chainsawing the floor. Oh, the front door makes no sense. I also made that note. But that's just a creative choice, so whatever. But Leatherface's mouth movements.
Oh,
At one point there's a close up of his mouth
and
because
he's
I had
licking his
noticed
teeth and stuff with his tongue. Yeah, that was
he does this
disturbing.
through the entire movie, but you never get a really clear look, but you know he's doing something with his mouth.
Yeah,
And it's always a little like, ew. But then they gave you the close up. And I was like, oh my God.
yeah,
That is probably the most unnerving thing about well, except for the grandpa sucking the finger thing.
yeah.
Sorry.
And that conversation at the dinner table was so fucked
So
up
fucked
that it
up.
was unnerving.
And I don't know if you noticed this. Shout out to the set tech for this. But the chair that she was tied to had hands
Yeah,
and arms, like forearms attached to the arms of the chair. So
yeah.
her hands were resting on top of dead people hands. Like there were so many little things that you were just like, this is so gross.
This scene was actually shot during the day. They had to put
Jesus.
blackout curtains. The temperature outside was just over 100 degrees.
Ooh.
Inside, it got up to 120. Some of the actors had to get up and go out and get sick and come back in and do the scene. The guy who played the hitchhiker
Yeah.
was a Vietnam vet, and he said he would prefer to go back to Vietnam than do another movie like this. He
I
said it
mean,
was
valid.
horrible.
Valid. I worked on a short film once and we were filming a inside a little house and we had to mimic it was summer and we had to mimic sunlight because it wasn't bright
Oh,
enough. So we
yeah.
had these big, really hot lights shooting into the room. And I swear we also made a table full of desserts because it happens during the wake of a funeral. The desserts started melting. And I
Yeah.
was like, y'all better get your shots if you have desserts, like close-ups of those. But it was a whole like shit show. But at the end of the day, I was like, I am dehydrated, I am sweaty, I am gross,
Yeah.
and we have to do this all again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I can understand, like it got really hot there. So for it to be over 100 degrees, because it wasn't like 30 degrees Celsius. It was like 25 outside when we filmed this.
Yeah.
And like 100, you're looking at wait, subtract 37. That's like 35 Celsius. I'm like, that's motherfucking hot. And then you're in with blackout. Oh, I can't even.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
and they
God
said
bless
that
these actors.
they actually got bones and stuff from veterinarian places, so they were real. And so, but there was little stuff inside of it that the heat and the food, because it was so hot that they were using to eat, was rotting too quickly.
Oh
And
God.
yeah, they said it was pretty gross. It was a really gross. Good scene though.
I can't. No,
And
great
Gunnar
scene.
Hansen,
But
he said
Jesus.
he was starting to like hallucinate and get. He said it was just a mess. But
That
yeah,
is
so
not okay.
infuriated, the hitchhiker grabs the hammer, letting go of Sally, and in all of the confusion, Sally breaks free, and runs, jumps through a window outside just as the sun has begun to rise. Sally runs to the road with Leatherface and Hitchhiker giving chase, but an 18-wheeler drives by and runs the hitchhiker over, killing him. Leatherface runs at Sally, chainsaw ablaze, and the driver of the 18-wheeler helps Sally into the truck. And Leatherface begins to saw at the door. They climb out the other side, and as Leatherface pursues them, the truck driver hits Leatherface in the head with a wrench, causing him to drop his chainsaw and cut his leg. They didn't know. Gunnar Hansen kept asking Toby Hooper, like, how are we going to do this? That scene. And they end up putting a big metal plate on his leg, but the
Mhm.
chainsaw connecting with the metal plate was so hot that Gunnar Hansen said there was a mark, of course,
Yeah.
and he thought he was actually getting chainsaw because the heat was so intense.
Oh, I can
Poor
believe it.
guy.
I can believe it because remember, this was the time when they used real chainsaws
Yeah, they
and
only had
real
one.
knives.
They only had
Yeah,
that one chainsaw, and it was real. It wasn't even a prop.
that's fantastic.
Gunnar Hansen said he had to talk with each actor when they were going to do a scene what to do, just because they didn't want to get hurt. Yeah. So Leatherface, got the wrench, chainsaw at his own leg. Sally jumps in the back of a passing pickup truck, and as she is driven away, she laughs hysterically as Leatherface, who swings his chainsaw in frustration. And that is it. Also, the poor driver, they ran in the opposite direction. So here's hoping he had enough stamina to make it out alive.
I don't think so because he was a little
He was a little
soft.
a little porky.
Don't talk about the nice man who stopped, although I'm still very confused about
I
why
bet he regretted
they
stopping.
got no, he stopped. Both of them got into the truck.
Yeah.
Leatherface, yes, cutting on the door, did not cut through the door. Why did
No,
you
he
not
should have
just start the truck and start driving?
yeah.
But no, they needed the scene where,
And
he
then we
cut
get
his leg
Leatherface doing his dance
and
and
doing his
swinging his
little
chainsaw.
chainsaw
And
swing.
that's our movie.
Yeah.
Very disturbing PG family classic movie.
I'm sure
So,
Disney passed on it and they're
yeah.
regretting it.
What is your score for 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Okay, this is a two-parter. If you are a horror fan, I say this is worth a rent. If you are not a big horror fan, but you don't mind horror, feel free to stream. I think this is a classic. It did something, um, I don't know, noteworthy in film.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say revolutionary, but it's definitely noteworthy. And you can see in movies that happened after this how they were inspired by this movie.
Oh yeah.
I think it definitely has a place in film history. I think it is definitely a very unnerving and disturbing and gross movie. It's an experience. Am I going to want to watch it on the regular? Fuck no. Fuck no. Why? Because for the first 37 minutes, I want everybody to die because
Yeah.
none of the characters are redeemable. But then you see what they did, and you see, like, once the killing start this sounds so terrible, but once the killing starts, this movie really finds its feet, and it starts to make more sense.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think if you're a big fan of horror, rent it. If you're not a big fan of horror, but you do like horror, it's definitely a stream. If violence makes you queasy, don't watch this movie. Not
No.
even a little bit. Just don't.
Yeah, if you're not into horror, this is not the movie for
This
you.
is if you not even like this is almost like I felt this movie was very similar in feel to Saw.
Mhm.
Only in Saw I cared about the characters more.
And we
Still
should
super
tell
gross.
people that if they haven't seen this movie in a while or whatever, it is not gory.
Mm-mm.
Toby Hooper actually said he got into arguments with people because they complained about how gory it was, and he said, I know how much blood we used.
Yeah.
It was not a lot, and
It
we
is.
didn't.
It's not
But
gory.
this movie doesn't have to be disturbing.
Exactly. It's a very, very disturbing, unnerving, uncomfortable movie. You leave it, like, once you're done watching it, you feel gross. Like, there is
Yeah,
an ick factor to it where you're just like, "I feel like I need a shower."
yeah, like you just watched a snuff film or something.
Kinda, yeah,
You know what I
and I
mean? Not
think
like actual stuff, but yeah, it's like
but I think it's
something
because
really
you
wrong.
yeah, and you don't see everything, so there's so many, like, questions, and your brain is filling in the blanks,
Yeah,
and that fucks you up even more because
yeah,
you
made it
don't have all
worse.
the details. So I think it's a very effective movie,
Too effective.
too effective. And other than the fact, my one real complaint about this movie, like my one valid argument, is I don't care about the characters. It's my one and only thing. Everything else was done very well. I don't care about the characters. So I don't care if they die. But I do think that it holds a place in film history very validly. Like, it's something you should watch, especially if you're very interested in film.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My score. My dog's weird. Sorry. This is a 1974 horror movie with inconsistent acting, annoying dialogue, and character choices. No real gore and not a lot of blood. This is still creepy, able to get that, oh my God, the horror and gore while not even showing it to you. And it is fun most of the time. Like you said, once you get to that 37-minute
Mm.
mark, it is fun. Um, Is it the scariest movie? Is it the goriest movie? No. But it might be a masterpiece considering its creep factor that still holds up very well today.
Mhm.
When that steel door rips open and Leatherface is just standing there and Pam barely gets out the door and he drags her back in, or Kirk getting hit and him slamming that door and poor Jerry screaming as the sledgehammer comes down. Yeah, or Leatherface racing out of the house with the chainsaw while he's wearing that suit. It's hard for me not to like this movie, not to mention I would love to listen to the commentary of this movie,
Mm.
making ofs and anything like this. You're right, it is a very effective movie. It's not just a movie, it's an experience. I say buy it. I will watch this again. Is it going to be soon? No. But it was fun. I will watch it again. I would love to watch some. If you're a horror fan, I say it would be worth the buy just to have the experience. And if someone comes over, or you're going to have like a mood to share that experience with people, just to see their reactions when they're watching um, all these different scenes happen.
See, the majority of my friends would wanna kill me if I played this movie for them.
But see, it's also a fun movie, and I can say this for experience. Shitting on this movie for
Oh,
all the
yeah,
other
no.
reasons.
Yeah. No, 100%. But at the same time, like, I know my friends would be like, "Why did you tell me this was gonna happen?" So I can't
Oh
watch it with
yeah,
people.
yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of, "Oh my god, what is
I
that?" I'm not saying nothing.
And I am calling this a masterpiece because, like you said, this is an experience. And I had that note. This isn't just a movie. This is an experience. A very disturbing, but and especially if you're into film or want
Yeah.
to get into film, or if you're really into movies, you don't even have to be a horror lover to experience this movie at least once.
You can see how much influence this movie had on film afterwards, not just for horror.
Yeah.
Like, there are certain things that you're just like, "This feels so familiar." And then you realize it's a trope that's been used in multiple films, and you're just like, "Oh, I wonder if this was the very first one." Because before, in the 60s and the 70s, there might have been violence, but you didn't see any of it.
No.
Like this partial view of violence it's like they give you just enough information to be like, here's part of the bad thing that's happening.
Yeah.
And then they keep just enough information back that your brain is like, well, let's figure out the scenarios of what the bad thing is specifically. And that'll fuck you up.
Oh yeah.
And it's something that's been used a lot, and I like it. I like it a lot. Because before this, it was just like you can't show any of it.
No. And this was before Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween. It
Yeah.
was like 4 or 5 years before Halloween. So yeah, it really is a trailblazing movie. I did not think I was going to, because it's weird because there were a lot of parts I did not enjoy about this movie.
True
Like
story.
a lot. But I didn't think I was going to enjoy the stuff I did enjoy as much as I did, or be as disturbed or creeped out as much as I was.
It made me
Yeah,
feel
it
very
was.
icky at the
Yeah,
end. And that
yeah,
was and there's something amazing about this blood-covered Sally screaming and laughing in the back of a pickup truck with the driver constantly just looking back at her and being like, "The
yeah.
fuck? Is she okay? What the fuck?" And like there's as soon as the movie ends, I'm like, "Oh god, I'm glad that it's over, but god, it made me feel all of the things."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Not all good things, mostly
No,
bad things, which
a
again
lot of
is
bad things, which is
oh,
good.
an accomplishment. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially for
Like
its age.
for its age, for its budget,
Oh
for
yeah,
its script,
yeah,
I was
or
like,
lack
"Sir,"
of.
the first like the dialogue, I'm like, "If there had been just a little more character development, I would have been
Yes.
like, you know what? Maybe if you showed me the complicated relationship between Sally and her brother Franklin, then maybe I would have cared when Franklin died. But I didn't. I just cheered for it.
No. Yeah.
Maybe if I saw a little more love between like Jerry, that was Sally's boyfriend.
Jared. Yeah, that was Sally's
Yeah.
boyfriend.
I was like, maybe if I saw a little more love between them instead of just them kind of being weird. Like when Sally's getting dragged away by some random stranger at the cemetery, he's just standing there laughing. And I was
Yeah.
like, have him swoop in, be a gentleman. Then I'm like, oh, look, they're in love.
Yeah.
Then I care when he dies. Other than that, I'm just like, But if there was a little more of that, I think this movie could have hit a whole nother level.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Which brings us to dun, dun, dun. Did you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003?
Oh boy, did I ever.
And your initial thoughts?
I didn't like Well,
You didn't
okay.
like it?
I liked it and I didn't like it. Like this is one of those movies that you shit on. There was a lot of eye rolling, still entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
It called back to the original a lot.
Yes.
Like it
While
was super
being
close to
way
being
different.
yeah, very different, but very like a lot of callbacks to the original.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot.
But it was one of those things where I was just like,
There was a lot going on in this movie.
there was a lot going on in this movie, and there was a lot wrong with this movie. There was some right with this movie. It was fun to watch, but I kind of wanted to punch a lot of people in it. So that's my initial thoughts.
Well, the director of this movie did not want to do it at the beginning. He said trying to redo Texas is blasphemy.
Mm,
The cinematographer from the original 1974 movie actually worked with this director on a ton of music videos and convinced him to do it because he wanted to start his career with Texas Chainsaw Massacre and end his career with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So they decided to do a movie that paid homage but tried to be vastly different.
yeah.
And he also is the director who did Friday the 13th, 2009. Same director.
Oh. Well,
Same
I'd like to go on the
director.
record as saying I'm not mad at the directing.
No.
Although there
Yeah.
were a couple choices where I was like, "Excuse me?" The sheets and the hanging cows. I was like,
Yeah.
"Sir,
Yeah.
this is not cute." But I mean, who the fuck am I?
Yeah. Well, my initial thoughts is, oh my God, could Jessica Biel be any hotter? That is my whole takeaway from this movie. It's just stupid for anyone to be that hot. I did like it. I had fun watching it. It wasn't as gory as I remember. It was gorier than the first one, I'll tell you that.
Correct.
It had a lot more
Yeah.
going on the story compared to the original, for better or worse. But 2003 made way well for a lot more Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies because 4 more came out after
Yep.
this one. I hope they keep coming out. I hope they get better.
You have a lot of hopes there.
But I think I thought it was gorier, but I think after this movie, it was like that. Then the Saw movies came out, and more Final Destination, the Hostel movies. So movies got gorier. So I think that's why I was surprised at how not gory it was as I remembered it being.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there is gore in this movie. Like it's
There
not
is.
Willy Wonka and the Chainsaw Factory. It still has jump scares, gore. It's uncomfortable situations, wince-inducing. It's just not like I remember. So, in the beginning of the film, there is archive footage of police search through the Hewitt house. The 2 officers survey the house and descend into the basement, noting the fingernail scratch marks. Just seeing the fingernail scratch marks made me wince. I'm like, oh yeah, that's gross.
Anything having to do with
with the
nails
scratch.
and scratching, because there's Land of the Dead. There's this one
yeah.
particular scene where the zombies are scratching at their like an armored car
Oh, that's right.
trunk
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and the nails are scratching down, and then they're peeling back.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That
Awesome
is
movie.
literally the grossest scene of the movie for me.
Yeah.
Because nails
Stir of Echoes with
on
Kevin
it.
Bacon, where the girl is
Ugh.
abducted and she scratches, but she digs in so hard her nails come off, or a couple of them come
Oh,
off. Yeah, it's one of those things.
oh
It's
God,
like,
it's so gross. I can't. So yeah, whenever I see scratches, immediately my mind pictures hands doing that. And
yeah.
yeah.
And we see it later.
Yeah.
Human blood and hair embedded into the walls. And to add, John Larroquette returned to do the voiceover. He was more than happy to do it. I think he
Mhm.
got paid this time.
Not 2 joints?
Yeah, I think he got money this time.
God damn it.
The story then shifts to August 1973 when 5 young adults, Aaron, Kemper, Morgan, Andy, and Pepper, are on their way to a Leonard Skinner concert after coming back from Mexico. For a quick second, I thought Morgan was like the Franklin character and in a wheelchair. He's annoying. He's not Franklin annoying,
No.
but he is annoying.
I don't know if anybody can be Franklin annoying, just to be
No.
perfectly clear.
As they drive through Texas, they see a distraught hitchhiker who eventually gets in their van. Yes, Anna was right. There was a pussy pistol.
Yes, there was.
I was getting the prequel mixed up because they pick up a biker chick that has a gun. So I couldn't remember what you were, I couldn't remember what you're talking about. And then I'm like, there it is. Like, and so she was literally trying to get away from that family and jammed a fairly big gun up her vajayjay.
Right?
Yeah, and obviously that's why she was walking and not running. She would have blown her pussy right off if she tried to run.
Well, it's funny because when the scene came up, I was like, "Oh, we've got them, okay." I was like, "Okay, let me see if she's walking funny." She was walking a little bit funny, but I
A little
mean,
bit
maybe
funny.
it was just the trauma of it all.
But there was blood all
Like, all down her
and
thighs,
I now I was putting that together now because I don't know why I
Yeah.
didn't put this together back then. Her jamming the gun up there, among probably other things, but
Yeah.
that made more sense. And I'm like,
Like, there's
oh,
because I'm like, "Oh."
you could have just walked with it in your hands.
Well, she had
But
to hide it
she was
somewhere
trying
just
to
in
hide
case.
it. Yeah,
It was just like, that's a lot.
it was disturbing.
Although there was one thing about when she pulled out the gun that I didn't notice before, but it was already cocked
Yeah,
and
that's why
ready to
that's
shoot.
why I said she couldn't run.
Yeah,
It was ready
but
to shoot.
it was ready to shoot, and I was like, "Girl,
She might have tripped and shot herself.
like, gun safety, my friend. You don't
Yeah.
cock a gun and then shove it up your vagina."
No, it only takes half a second to cock it.
But yeah, no, see, when that scene came up, I was like, "Oh shit, here it is." And I remember it being more labored than it was. Like, she just slid
Yeah.
that thing out, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, there's a gun there." I was like, "That went a lot quicker than I remember." So, not as traumatizing. Mind you, I did watch this movie directly after watching the 1974 version, so that may have
Desensitized a bit.
desensitized me a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After trying to speak to the hitchhiker who speaks incoherently about a bad man, she shoots and kills herself with a 35-7 Magnum. Oh, there you go, 35-7 Magnum. She wanted to go home. There is a bad man. Don't go that way. Although she was walking in the same direction they were driving, so I put that up to as she came out of the woods and had no idea where she
Yeah.
was. Noticed the meat factory and was like, I don't want to go back there. The group tries to contact the police, then go to a store where a woman tells them the sheriff is at the mill. Shame on this Scooby-Doo bunch. That store was one giant red flag. Ugh. I'd be like, yeah, we'll meet him over there. See you later, hillbillies. I'm out and gone fucking somewhere else. Chuck the
Well,
drugs. Take my
yeah,
chance with the city
I was like,
police.
hide the drugs on the side of the road somewhere because it's in a fucking piñata. Like,
Oh,
bury
yeah.
that shit for like a hot second.
Yeah, which for them, everyone listening, they were coming from Mexico, and Morgan, the Franklin light, gave it away that they smuggled back 2 pounds of marijuana.
2 pounds.
And then Aaron asked Kemper, was that the reason? And he's like, what? No. And Aaron, being the
Oh, it's
big-hearted,
because I love
beautiful woman
you.
she is, believed him. Kemper did not deserve her drug smuggling son of a bitch.
Oh my god. That's fantastic. Yeah, no, that store was a big giant red flag. Also a red
Oh, that
flag.
meat. Ugh.
Oh, the whole pig's head covered in flies. I was like, that's
Ugh.
disgusting. And they're
Morgan's
all
like,
just like
anyone want
hanging
some
out.
beef jerky?
This is terrible. Well, I think he said anybody want some pig.
Yeah, that's
And I
right.
was like,
Yeah.
dude, we already know this is gross. And they're all kind of freaking out, but not freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, it, here's your point for 1974. It's happening in the 2003. Inconsistent acting. Inconsistent.
Yeah, which is a shame because they're good actors. All the guy who
Yeah.
plays Morgan is a fantastic actor.
Yeah. No, he's incredible.
Yeah.
I like the way Eric Balfour performs.
Yeah.
You know, they're really
Actually, all of them.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jessica Biel is not a good actor. She's gotten better.
Shouldn't have to be.
I know because they put her in a white tank top, tied that shit up, and then made sure she was wet for the last like 15 minutes of the movie.
God bless them.
Yeah. But yeah, no, through this entire thing, it was like they're freaking out, they're not freaking out. They're calm, they're not calm. Kemper's trying to like take control of the situation, but being such a the whole thing, I was just like, I don't know who these people are.
And you're right. I don't think it's the actor's fault. I think that was either an editing problem or a directing problem.
Yeah. It just
And they
felt
might
very,
have,
very inconsistent.
yeah.
But at least I care a little bit more about these people.
Yes. Yes.
Like there's a little bit more development. We have more conversation in the car that actually gives me information about who they are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm
we
like,
know
"Oh,
that they
okay."
live together and they're boyfriend and girlfriend. We
Yes.
know that Andy
He's
just
angling
picked
for a
up
ring.
Pepper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
So
picked
I
up
mean
Pepper.
there's more information there. And I'm like, I feel like I know these people slightly better.
Yes.
So I care a little bit.
So they head over to the mill. Instead of the sheriff, they find a little boy named Jedediah. Red flag number 2 or 30, depending on how close you look at everything. But that kid just screamed something wasn't right.
Fuck yeah.
Jedediah tells them the sheriff is drinking at home. Aaron and Kemper go through the woods to find his house, leaving the other 3 at the mill with the boy. They come to a plantation house where Aaron is allowed inside by the owner, an amputee named Monty. Another red flag. The house and Monty.
Yep.
To phone for help. When Aaron finishes, the old man asks for help. Kemper goes inside to look for Aaron and is killed with an axe to the back by Thomas Hewitt, aka Leatherface. Now, this was a good kill, good introduction to
Great
Leatherface.
kill.
Did not compare to the
No.
1974 one.
It gave me a jump scare.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, the way the action was timed gave me a jump scare.
Yeah.
Was it as good as the first kill? No. In 1974? No.
No, wasn't as creepy either. And don't get
No.
me wrong, it's still creepy. It's still a horror movie. It still does its job.
Here's the thing that I noticed about this movie. It has to do with the lighting. Everything had kind of a sepia tone to it.
Yes.
So it feels a little gritty or a little darker through most of it, but
Which
almost
looks great, but you could tell it's on
newspaper. Yeah.
purpose. Yeah.
You can, well, even when they were doing the first, like the news or the cops footage in the
Yes.
beginning of the movie, they put a grain effect on it,
Yeah.
and you could tell.
Yeah.
And
I
I was like,
enjoyed it, but yes, you could definitely
it
tell.
was not the best effect that they could have used.
No.
So I
No.
was like, guys, come on. But there, that kind of, it almost took I know they made that lighting choice to create a mood, but it almost took away from the reality of it. Like, it kind of glossed it. And I was
Yeah.
like, I mean, if you're gonna give me these weird kills with Leatherface, I don't need the gloss. Like, this is supposed to be raw and dirty. Also, these people, except for Jessica Biel, have been sweating through the entire movie.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
every character is sweaty and looks kind of greasy,
Yeah.
except for Jessica Biel.
She looked great.
She really did, and she did not sweat
No.
a good goddamn drop.
No.
Not one.
That's
And I was like,
talent.
she's in the same car as everybody else. Everybody else is sweaty.
That's
Her
'cause she's
hair
more
is
talented
fluffy.
than them. She can control her sweat.
She can control her sweat. Anyways, so yeah, that was my big thing.
Yes, and for everyone listening, because we are going to separate this. It's not going to be one big one because it is going to be two separate whatchamacallits. And we're talking about, if you're just listening to this one, we did 1974. We are.
Yep.
It's hard not to compare them because we are at the end of each one going to tag on which one we think is better. But 2003 Leatherface, he is creepy. Don't get me wrong. I would scream like a prepubescent church choir soloist doing "Oh Holy Night" with either one. So
That's super specific.
I just say that this is still a creepy, big, menacing dude.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, but it just didn't give off the same vibe as 1974
Yeah.
Leatherface. That's
No.
it. When Leatherface takes Kemper's body to begin to make a new mask out of him, he hears something hit the bottom of the tub where Kemper is hooked upside down. Leatherface picks up a small black box. Opening it, he discovers a ring meant for Aaron. So yeah, we do get a lot more story here. We are getting, and it kind of makes you care a little bit more about these guys.
Yeah, not a lot, but you care a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, he got what he deserved. I stand by my comment. Meanwhile, Sheriff Hoyt arrives at the mill and disposes of the hitchhiker's body, wrapping her in cellophane and putting her in the trunk, in which he drives away and tells the youth to leave. I love the whole sheriff interaction. There could not be a bigger red. Oh,
he was
he was more uncomfortable than Leatherface.
1,000,000%.
Yeah, he was creepy.
He was so creepy. He was groping a corpse.
I know, it's so gross.
And then he made a comment about her being wet down there.
Yeah,
and
what have you boys been doing with her? Like, oh, that's so
I was like, did you oh God. Like it was ew. So actually I think I
he
made
was
that note.
the creep factor of this movie. Not
my God, yeah.
Leatherface. He was the that's
There was
disturbing.
only one moment where I was creeped out by Leatherface, and it hasn't hit yet. So we'll get there. But like honestly, the sheriff was the creepiest thing about this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Every time he was on the screen.
Oh my God.
He just oozed danger.
100%.
Like stranger danger. Not
And I think that's why I had such a hard time with them not fighting back against the sheriff.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Are you not seeing the red flags? Are you not seeing how he is not okay?
The car pulled in and the headlight, the one headlight was missing. Like
Carpool in, he pulled out cellophane
yeah. Yeah, he
to
didn't put it
wrap
in the
a
back.
dead body,
The 2
not a body
kids,
bag.
Andy and Morgan put her in the back of the because
Yeah,
he barked at them to get her in the
to not put her in the back
they were
seat
gonna put her in the back seat, and he was like,
after
"What
he
the
said he had a
fuck
lot of
is
respect
wrong?"
for the dead. He has
Yes.
a lot of respect for the dead.
He
And then he
yells
was
at
like,
them.
"Don't put her in the back seat, put her in the trunk. Don't put that mess in there." And it was like, wow. But yeah, no, he was a walking super red flag. Like,
And Lee Remy, who played this guy, is apparently supposed to be a very nice man. A
I can
very
believe that.
yeah, but man, did he whew,
He was disconcerting.
yes,
But I
very.
can tell you right now, as a woman, if I was standing next to the car while the sheriff was doing his thing, that exact thing, I'd be like, "Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We're getting the fuck out of here.
Oh, yeah.
We are not safe in this county.
No, no, we go
We
into the
need to
next county.
leave."
Yeah. We'll send an Uber back for dipshits.
Yep. Fuck them. We're gone.
Meanwhile, Sheriff oh no, I already did this. Yeah, no, he was funny, like in a psychopathic haha kind of way. Aaron arrives and finds that Kemper is still missing. Yeah, because she was done, couldn't find him, figured
Mhm.
he was a dick and just went back to the fan and just left her there, but finds that he's not there. Um Andy and Aaron go back to Monty's house where Aaron distracts him while Andy searches for Kemper. I was more team Morgan and Pepper. Great friends, Andy and Aaron. Great
Yep.
girlfriend. I'd be gone.
Uh-huh.
Jessica Biel is not that hot. No, after the sheriff, after that house, no, no, no.
Also, can we point out that the reason why Kemper is dead is because he walked into a house that was not his.
Yeah, snooping around. Democrat, probably
He
from
just walked
California.
right in.
And it's Texas. God, people, it's fucking Texas. Actually, there's a lot of states you could say that about,
This is
but
very true.
it is Texas. And it was a creepy house.
Mhm.
It didn't even look like it had a road or
Yep.
driveway leading up the fucking thing. Yeah. Wouldn't be go
Yep.
stupid in
Nope.
someone's fucking house. Monty realizes Andy is inside and summons Leatherface, who attacks him with his chainsaw. Aaron escapes and runs through the woods, but Leatherface cuts Andy's leg off. Okay, so Monty realizes Andy is in the house, and that
Yep.
is a great line. You're so dead, you don't even know it. That was a great delivery, and it was like, ooh.
Yep.
And then he starts banging his that's what
Cane.
was it? Cane on the floor, telling him to come get him, boy. And it kind of looks like he's talking to Andy to come at him,
Yeah.
but he was calling on Leatherface.
Yeah. When he said, like,
Um,
"Come get it, boy. Come get it." And it was like, it does. Because you know what? Sometimes when you're about to scrap with someone,
yeah,
you're like,
yeah,
"Let's do it. Come get it.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
ready." So I
And they're
I
kind
thought
of
that
looking at
was
him
cute,
like,
but then I
what
was
the
like, "Oh,
fuck is
wait."
going on? Yeah, they're not. Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
what he's doing.
Yeah. It's like, "Get it."
You see that little eye thing on the
Yeah.
wall start moving around. Leatherface comes out with the chainsaw again, intimidating, but not like the 74 when Leatherface swung open the door and started chasing Pam. Um, what happens? Oh, this is where we get to the Andy blocks Leatherface and tells no,
Mhm.
Aaron locks Leatherface and shuts the door behind her. And he Charles through the door. Andy
Yeah.
tells Aaron to run, and he blocks
Mhm.
the chainsaw with his little
Eventually, because he had the tire iron.
tire iron. Yes,
Yeah. So he
yeah.
starts to run. He
Aaron's gone.
falls.
Yeah, he falls.
Aaron closes the door. His tire iron is stuck underneath, Monty's
Oh,
wheelchair.
Monty. Yeah, he puts
His
his
the
wheel on
wheel
it.
on his wheelchair.
Yeah,
Andy, like a fucking moron, lays there struggling with his tire iron
I'd be gone.
while Leatherface is chainsawing through a door that Aaron, like a fucking moron, is leaning up against. If these two had just stood up and ran,
Yeah, they
they'd
might have
both
made
be
it.
alive.
Yeah. But Leatherface chases Andy out to the laundry. And that
Yeah.
was a lot of bed sheets.
Can I tell you when there was, oh, he's going to run through the sheets. Okay, fine. Classic movie trope. Cool. I was like, how many sheets?
It's a
Like,
lot of
no
bed
offense.
sheets.
This house was not the cleanest house. Why are
No.
there so many goddamn bed sheets that were washed?
Doesn't mean they can't have a clean bed.
It felt like he had been running for fucking ever. And I was like, this is excessive.
That was excessive for that many. Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
they were going around in circles.
yes, and it was ridiculous because I was like, how many fucking lines of bed sheets are hanging?
Yeah.
Like, I understand it's very
Too much.
classic. It's too much.
Yeah. Although when Leatherface came out of the porch door,
Yeah.
chainsaw first, and the door just explodes as he's that was cool.
Mm.
Poor Andy gets the chainsaw right through his leg.
Yeah.
And that looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
And then
As it
Leatherface
should.
picks him up, and Andy doesn't say it, but I bet he regrets telling Aaron to run and staying behind and blocking.
Yeah. I bet he regrets trying to fight to get the tire iron back as opposed to
Yeah.
just standing up and running
Yeah,
while
he's
Aaron was holding those doors closed.
probably like, I should have just ran.
Yeah.
Leatherface carries him to the basement and hangs him on a meat hook with his feet hanging over piano, where he rubs salt on Andy's stump of a leg before wrapping it in butcher paper and tying it with human hair. Now this was a lot more graphic than the 74 version of the
Yes.
meat hook. Yes. And it was like, damn.
Gross.
Yeah, that looked like it hurt.
Yeah, man.
The piano was underneath him in case he decided he can get up, and then he'll hear the piano keys. And yeah, he's a clever little Leatherface. Leatherface carries him to the. Oh, I already did that. Aaron makes it to the mill and tries to escape in the van. And as you're watching, you're like, finally. No key, but she tries to hotwire it. But you're like, yes. But the sheriff shows up, and after finding marijuana, orders Aaron, Morgan, and Pepper to go out of the van. The sheriff gives Morgan the gun he took from the hitchhiker and tells Morgan to reenact how she killed herself, the girl at the beginning. Morgan, scared and disturbed by the sheriff's demeanor and under pressure by Aaron and Pepper, attempts to shoot the sheriff. Aaron is actually telling him not to do it. Pepper's telling him to do it.
Aaron is very. I don't know why Aaron still has. Mind you, Aaron didn't have the previous interaction with the cop.
That's
or
right.
with the sheriff.
Yeah.
She wasn't there for that. So I can understand why the other two are kind of like, you're fucking weird. But still, Aaron is like, you've just seen, like, you just got almost killed. And you're telling the sheriff that you almost got killed. And then he starts talking about a joint. And then he orders you to get on the ground. And you're just like, okay. And you're like, I feel like you should insist a little harder. But this was also one of my scenes where I was like, fuck you, Jessica Biel. Fuck you. Because in the car, she's sobbing. Then the minute the cop says, get out of the car, she's not sobbing.
No.
She's not crying. She doesn't even really look that sad.
No. She looks great.
You were having an emotional breakdown literally 5 seconds ago. And now that's all done.
Again, that's talent.
Is it talent?
Yeah, to be that emotionless.
Or is it just I forgot that I'm supposed to be acting right now? I think it's more like I forgot. But it's fine.
Would you pull the trigger?
I would have pulled the trigger immediately. I
Yeah.
also would not have gotten into the back of that car. I also would not have picked up the gun from him. What I would have done is tried to get someone to distract him for a hot second and then hit him over the head with some big piece of metal.
Yeah, they could have just rushed him.
Hid his body in the mill somewhere, gotten the fuck out.
Yeah. Yeah, because Aaron's telling him not to do it. Pepper's like, fuck that, shoot him.
Yeah, Pepper's like, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him. I'm like, good for you. But first make sure that the gun is loaded.
Would I have pulled the trigger? Actually, I would have been gone. I would have walked the fuck to the main road, like if I was like them, and been halfway to Austin, doing sexual favors for a ride. I don't give a fuck. I would have made a sign, hand jobs for a ride to Austin. I would not stick around that place. No
Mind
way.
you, I will tell you right now, I wouldn't have to do that because I would have tackled Erin, taken the keys from her,
Mm,
and been like, y'all motherfuckers walk back. I'm out.
yeah.
Look me up when you get back to Austin.
Yep. Morgan pulls the trigger, only to find the gun is unloaded. Sheriff Hoyt handcuffs Morgan and drives him to the Hewitt house, a drive which includes a brutal beating, leaving the girls in the van where they are attacked by Leatherface. Pepper runs, but is cut in half by Leatherface chainsaw. I already forgot that part. Because she decides to take off anyways, doesn't she? Erin is like, "Fuck it, we're gone."
No, because Leatherface is trying to get into the car. So, and
Oh,
Erin,
I thought the wheels fell
no,
off.
no,
Or
Erin's
that
in the front
later.
seat. She's trying to use her knife
Yeah.
to turn the key, and then it breaks. And then Pepper is behind her holding the flashlight and shaking
Oh, and
really
she
hard.
says, "Keep it
And she
steady."
says,
Yeah.
"Sweetie, you have to hold that really steady for me." And then miraculously, Pepper loses all of her nerves and all of her anxiety, and she holds that amazingly perfectly. And then Leatherface shows up and he starts chainsawing through the roof of the van, and he
Right.
reaches his arm in, and I think he grabs hold of Erin, and
Yeah.
then that's when Pepper like takes off. So Leatherface goes after her and then cuts her in half.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because during this time, also, this is when we go to back to the Hewitt house, and Andy's
Mm.
trying to lift himself off the meat hook.
Yeah.
Yeah. FYI, he doesn't. He
No.
fails
No, he
and
does not.
impales himself further. Not impale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, impale. Yeah. Okay. So Aaron also sees that Leatherface is wearing Kemper's face over his own.
That's the moment that freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah, a very creepy Leatherface.
That was a
Totally
super
gross.
like when
Hats
he
off to
turns
the effects
around,
team.
I was like, "Oh my god, that's Kemper's face." Because it looked like his face too,
It looked like it, yes.
but just a
Very
little
gross, very
distorted.
realistic. Yeah, it looked like Kemper.
And it was
It
just
was
kinda
cool.
hanging on his
Yeah,
face. And I was like,
because I was
"Oh
like, wait a
god."
second. Ugh, that's
Yeah,
Kemper. But it's not Kemper.
that was great, and that was the
It's
only
his
time I found
face.
Leatherface, like, unnerving.
Yes. Yeah, that was yeah. Yeah. Um Aaron also see yes, Kemper's face. Aaron manages to escape and hides in a nearby trailer with two women inside who offer her tea to try to soothe her. I totally forgot about these trailer trash wackadoos too.
Me
Uh,
too.
the two women, a morbidly obese middle-aged woman known only as the Tea Lady, and a younger woman named Henrietta, whom is presumably her daughter, who bravo looks like Jedediah,
Mm,
like looks very much like Jedediah.
yep.
They act strange, and after they tell Aaron they don't have a phone for her to call for help, a telephone in the trailer rings, and Henrietta picks up and tells someone on the other end that she's here. Aaron discovers they have kidnapped a child when she sees the baby with them. Is the same child in the photograph with the woman who committed suicide earlier in the van.
Mhm.
Yes, if you've seen the slimmer plot 74 version, this 2003 version does have a lot more going on in it.
Yeah. They added a lot more family members.
Yeah, and acted well, like the one like, "Oh, my." It's like, they're very creepy.
No, they were super duper creepy, and it was really funny to see the, like, juxtaposition between the 2 characters where it's like you have this one the younger woman who looks almost emaciated, all of her clothing is in muted tones, she
Mhm,
looks unkempt, all of this, and then you see the tea lady who's a very voluminous woman,
mhm.
and she's dressed in brighter colors, and she is very well put together,
Yeah,
clean, her hair is styled, she's wearing glasses, she's reading a book, and you're just sitting there going, like, it's quite the difference between the 2 of them. But
yeah,
they're living in this house, which even the house itself had a little bit like, there was, like, darker muted tones and then brighter tones, and it
yeah,
was really interesting.
yeah. Yeah, it was. Um, Aaron wakes up at the Hewitt house surrounded by the Hewitt family. Leatherface, his mother, Luda May, the store owner from the beginning, Sheriff Hoyt, Uncle Monty, and the little boy Jedediah. Actually, Jedediah was outside trying to get in. And
Yeah,
Grandma
Jedediah
was
had
like,
been locked out.
yeah, for being bad. Luda May tells Aaron that her excuse for her son Thomas's actions was that her son was tormented by teenagers and that she felt no one cared for her family besides themselves. Aaron is taken to the basement where she finds Andy. She tries to help him off the meat hook, but when he sees he will land on the piano keys and alert Leatherface, he begs her to kill him, which she does. And though she
Yes.
suffers severe emotional trauma. This is the plot saying not me.
I have a few things. So
Oh,
when
let me guess. You didn't like her trauma performance.
I mean, it was fine. It wasn't inspired or anything, but I mean, it was serviceable. But when she wakes up, she's between the sheriff's legs,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and he's got sock suspenders,
yeah.
but no pants on.
No pants on.
And I was like, that
He's
adds to your
just in his
creep level,
tidy
sir.
whities. Oh,
Yeah. He's just sitting there in like his uniform shirt, tidy whities, black socks with suspenders, the little
yep.
like sock suspenders. And I'm just like, this is so there's a level of ick
And he's rubbing her
happening right here.
hair, and yeah,
Yeah, he's like, "No, you're fine. You're not going anywhere." And it's like, "Ew." And
yeah.
she's just like, "Please, please, please let me go." And they're like, "No."
Because I'm
And then
pretty
they
sure
throw her.
down the stairs. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
the hitchhiker at the beginning, when she was talking about he's a bad man, I don't think she was
Yeah.
talking about Leatherface.
No.
She was
I don't
talking
think so
about the
either
sheriff.
because she was still alive.
Yeah,
That's the big thing. She was still alive.
she was
So
still
I don't
alive.
I think she was talking about the sheriff.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, they throw Jessica Biel down into the basement, and of course the basement has, like half a foot of water in it. So she ends up soaking wet. And oh look, wet t-shirt. Surprise.
Yeah, very,
Yeah, shocking.
very good scene.
I did feel bad for
Andy.
Andy. Uh it made me sad when he died because I was like, honestly, you're probably the only one I really wanted to live. But it's fine. I mean, it was very
Oh, one
brave.
second.
She's
Hold on
like,
1 second.
oh, sorry.
Nope. Just want to work. Hold on. Just going to work on your. Just give it 1 minute. Okay. Say something.
Hello?
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
You're,
I'm muted.
oh, I muted you for a second because you were giving
Oh.
feedback.
Oh, my bad.
No,
But yeah,
I think it's on this
so
end.
I felt bad for Andy,
I think.
and I felt bad that oh, was it on your end?
I think so.
I don't know, you tell me. Okay,
Um,
I believe you.
yes, I did feel bad for Andy.
Um,
He was because he was kind of
yeah, and then Aaron I kinda liked him, and then
yeah,
he was dead. Aaron killed him because he asked her to,
yeah,
which I was like, "I
and
appreciate that." Like, he's still like, "I want you to get out alive, I can't do this."
yeah. Yeah, and she did seem emotional about it, as you do. I do when I off a friend. I
Yeah.
don't just throw friends and children to danger or ultimate demise for my own survival or protection and not feel anything. I'm not a monster. She
You're
finds
just a
Morgan, then she
survivalist, that's
finds
it.
yeah, yeah, I'm a survivalist.
Yeah, yeah.
Then she finds Morgan still handcuffed, and Jedediah leads them out of the house. Jedediah rejects Aaron's pleas to come with them and distracts Leatherface long enough for them to escape. Yeah, was he missing his tongue?
I don't think he was missing his tongue, but remember he got hit in the car with
Oh
that
yeah, that's
bottle,
right. Yeah, he
and,
got a
like,
few teeth.
a few teeth popped out, and he probably
Yeah.
cut his tongue. I don't think he was missing his tongue. I could be wrong. We don't know for sure, but he does
Yeah.
pop out of that bathtub pretty enthusiastically.
Yeah, I would too. Aaron and Morgan find an abandoned house in the woods and barricade themselves in, as if
Mm,
that would work. Leatherface breaks in and discovers Aaron, but Morgan attacks Leatherface, causing him to drop his chainsaw. Morgan grabs at him and wrestles him, but Leatherface is too heavy and easily lifts Morgan upwards onto a chandelier before releasing him, and Morgan gets tangled in the chandelier by his handcuffs. Leatherface picks up his chainsaw and slices up into Morgan's groin, killing him.
yeah.
And if you're listening and are like, didn't Aaron trying to help them? Yes, she proceeded to girl slap this 6'8", 400-pound behemoth, and it was open hand slaps.
Yeah. Here's the thing though. Aaron always tries to save them
Yeah, she doesn't do a very
for
good
like
job at it.
30 seconds. And then she's
Yeah,
like, guess it didn't work. And then she starts running.
yeah, because she was in the corner when he was getting chainsawed.
Yeah.
Morgan 100% redeems his cowardice, though.
Oh, yeah.
But at what price? Like being chainsawed from balls upward, way too high of a price. He did probably die fairly quick. Although
Yeah.
Leatherface stopped to go after Aaron, because Aaron, like you said, was fucking gone before Morgan was even dead.
This is a pattern for her. Like, it's
Yeah,
really starting to, like, as soon as they're like, okay, I'm going to help you for a little bit. And now I'm going to take off running.
yeah. I don't think it's gonna work. Okay, we should see
If
other
you
people.
live, great. If you don't,
Yeah,
it's nice
call me,
knowing you.
because it is possible. Because like he just chainsawed him a bit and went. He could have woke up in a minute or two. That would have sucked.
I don't think so because there's a lot of like blood vessels in that area. And there's a
Yeah,
lot
he
of
probably would have
bleeding
bled
that can
out really
happen.
quick. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's probably better that way. Aaron runs out of the shack and escapes through the woods. Leatherface trips and cuts his leg while pursuing her. Aaron stumbles upon a slaughterhouse and hides inside. Did you like this part, this cat and mouse part?
I fucking hated it.
I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't. Like, this part could have been cut.
There was too much chase.
Yeah, there was
But
a
like,
lot of chase.
don't get me wrong, I know that there needed to be chase. I get
It's
it.
better than the chase in 74. Like, there's a lot less
It
screaming.
was
Thank
quieter,
God.
hallelujah, praise Jesus.
Yeah.
But I was like watching her go into the cold room with all the like
All
cow
the
and
cows.
yeah. And then like hiding between the cows. I'm like, girl, keep running. Get out. Don't just stand there.
Well, she
Because
beat
they're
him out. Why she didn't just close the door and lock it?
right. But then the side of beef doesn't go all the way to the ground. Do you think
Yeah.
he's not gonna go looking for your feet?
Yeah.
I'm like, but anyways, that's just my own personal thing where I was just like, why are you stopping? Keep running. Get out. Lock him in somewhere. Do something. But there was too much chasing and it reminded me too much of the sheets and the running through the sheets.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was too long, it was too much, and it harkened back to that. And because of that, this scene will never get respect because there were too many sheets. So I'm like, this is just like running through the sheets.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah. I thought this was just too much of.
Mhm.
And yeah, they could have done without this.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. A deadly game of cat and mouse. There you go. Inside the factory ensues, and Aaron manages to hide in a locker. Leatherface opens the locker across from her, and she attacks him with a meat cleaver and chops off his right arm. Girl slaps for Morgan, chops the shit out of his arm when it came to like her safety.
Because when it comes to her safety, it's the only safety that matters.
Yeah, well, she is Jessica Biel.
She is your soulmate.
Yeah.
Throw everyone else in front of the killer and just run.
Oh, she is my soulmate.
Yep.
I should DM her.
I mean, there have been rumors about her marriage.
Oh,
I
to
don't
Justin Timberlake, who doesn't really like girls
Justin Timberlake, who
or likes lots of girls.
if the quote from Britney Spears' new memoir is correct, Justin Timberlake, who has a very itty bitty peepee.
Oh, poor Justin Timberlake. And
Honestly, I
still
feel
got
kind of I
still got
know.
Jessica Biel.
He really did.
Oh, and that bodes well for me. She can't be even more disappointed.
Facts.
And we have a lot more in common.
You should probably talk to your wife about that, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure
remember
she's not
her?
worried.
You should, for real though, can you just have like a conversation with your wife? Just be
Yeah.
like, look, we figured out Jessica Biel is my soulmate. So I
Yeah.
just want to prepare you.
Yeah. You only
And
get
then
one. You only get
just
one soulmate.
just tell me how long she laughs for.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Anywho.
we can tell she's not watching this episode live because I can't hear her laughing up there. So Aaron runs outside and flags down a trucker whom she tries to convince to go away from the Hewitt house, but he stops to find help at an eatery. Aaron sees Luda May and watches as Sheriff Hoyt arrives and talks to the trucker. Sheriff Hoyt was already inside because it was like him and Henrietta are a couple. It looks like they're raising the baby together or something weird. Who knows with that family? Aaron sees Henrietta watching over the kidnapped baby in the high chair. When Henrietta walks outside to join Luda May and Sheriff Hoyt, whom are talking to the truck driver, Aaron sneaks the baby out of the eatery and hotwires the sheriff's car before running him over repeatedly until he is dead. That part was kind of cool.
I like that part. That part was great. Also, when I was watching it, I realized that Jessica Biel, when she gets into the truck, she's behaving almost exactly the same.
Yes.
As
even
the
when they get to
hitchhiker from the beginning.
the meat
Yep.
factory. Yeah. I just want to go home. Don't take
I
me
just
back.
want to go
Yeah,
home.
it was.
Don't take me back there. The bad man's there. I'm like, beautiful. Keep it going.
Leatherface appears in the road and tries to stop her, but Aaron and the baby escape unharmed. That was I did think that was kind of cool. I forgot all about that. I wasn't expecting that chainsaw to hit. Then we go to the police archive, which continues to play where it left off in the beginning. The officers inspect the basement, noting the hanging meat hooks when suddenly one of the officers is grabbed and severely beaten. A blurred figure viciously shakes the camera, and the other police officers heard screaming. The narrator states that the crime scene was not properly secured by the Travis County Police. 2 investigating officers were fatally wounded that day. This is the only known image of Thomas Hewitt, the man they call Leatherface. The case today still remains open. Oh, and when they were dragging Andy down the stairs, when Leatherface was dragging him down, you did see him scratch, and that was gross. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay, so that is the 2003 version. What is your score for this movie?
Stream it. It's a fun movie. It has its issues, quite a few of them, has its issues. But if for nothing else, it's a great movie for mocking. It's a great movie for like the rolling your eyes, cracking a joke. It was relatively entertaining, and there were some moments that were super gory and a little gross. But overall, you don't leave it feeling uncomfortable or very you don't leave it with an ick. Like you're
No, a
you're
regular horror
okay.
movie.
It's a regular horror movie, a nice little fluff, a nice popcorn horror movie. Like it's fun to watch. It's kind of nice. It's a little more I care a little bit more about the characters. So I'm a little sad when some of them die, but I mean it's a fun horror movie, and if you want something fun to do on a Friday night with some friends, stream it, have a good laugh.
All right. My score. Okay. They wanted to be different yet pay homage, and they did that. This is not the same movie. They didn't just redo the same movie. They took the original story, filled in a plot, added some characters, added some purpose. I wrote this down, but now reading it, more objective to the why, like making it a completely different movie, but still remembering the original movie. So as a movie, it's well acted at times. It's well shot. It's directed good. It looks great. It's got some gore. It's some jump numbers, by the numbers, jump scares, but still some jump scares. And you got a fun horror movie. I had fun watching this movie. I wasn't looking at my watch or anything, but the where they go into the the meat factory.
Yeah.
That could have been sliced a little thinner. That you're right. The scene with all the bed sheets, that could have been a little thinner. It was disturbing and intense at times. It's not as gory as I remember, but 20 years later, some new Evil Dead's, a remake, some Piranha movies, Shark movies, Ghost Laters. It's still gory. It's just not as gory as I thought. This is worth a rental. Be better if it was on discount rental on a Halloween night. Yeah, I would say a discount rental. I had fun. It's
Yeah.
it's a horror movie. There's no ickiness when you just like any regular horror movie. It was just fun, and you're not creeped out by
Yeah,
watching it.
it's not unsettling.
No, just a
So
regular horror movie.
it's a regular like popcorn horror movie where you're just like, yeah, it's fun to watch. Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, the sheriff almost gets you there. He
Mm,
is the most creepiest thing in this friggin' movie, and he almost gets
yes.
you there.
Any
But
scene with the
Leatherface,
sheriff
yeah,
but here's
is
the thing. The sheriff is not the main bad guy in
no,
this movie.
no, no,
It's supposed
he's
to be
not.
It's supposed to be Leatherface's movie. So it I feel like that's almost a miss that I'm more uncomfortable and I'm more afraid of the sheriff than of Leatherface.
Yeah,
So
which was weird
that's
because he was big and he was
yeah.
menacing.
No, like Leatherface was a good Leatherface in this
Yeah,
movie.
but he was a monster with a
Yeah.
purpose, and he took direction. Where 74 won, no,
No.
he was unsettling, and he was
Yeah. So
yeah,
like I feel like that was a bit of an issue for me where I'm like, it's a passable fun movie.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a stream and a discount rental. Okay, so I'm gonna add the next part. I'm gonna add because we're gonna divvy this up
Yeah.
into two, and then put this part on both of them. So you've just watched either the 2003 or the 1974. This show, this
Mhm.
podcast. Which one is better? Which one did you like better? Which is the better movie? Which one is the better? Which one's more rewatchable? Which one's
Okay, 1974 is the better movie. 2003 is the more watchable movie. I can watch the 2003 more often than I could possibly watch the 1974 because the 1974 just makes me feel icky and uncomfortable and kind of vomity. And I'm like, no, I don't want to watch that again. Incredible. I don't want to watch that again. 2003, a little light, a little fluffy, still entertaining, very rewatchable. But if we're picking the better one, 1974 is the better one.
yeah, I said these are wildly different movies. 2003 is a horror movie, and I actually wrote 1974 is a movie experience.
Mhm.
That's why I was excited when you said experience. 2003 has the better acting, if you can believe it. More
I
gore,
can.
great effects, looks great, good rewatch value for a horror movie.
Yes.
1974 is an experience you cannot find very often. The acting is not great. The effects, there's no effects, they're non-existent since it all happens off screens.
Mhm.
Yet 74 was fucking creepy and engaging. I like both. I'm trying to think of an experience like 74, but like Evil Dead 2 or Evil Dead 2013, A Quiet Place, The Descent, or that movie where they go make the porno in the 70s, X,
Oh.
where they go make a porn movie out in this, and then people just start getting offed, and it's
I
it's
don't
a
think I've seen
great movie.
that.
It just came out. They just made a sequel called Pearl, that
Yeah.
is about the actual killer. But yeah, they go to make a 70s porn movie out in this farmhouse, and then people start getting.
Nice.
It's a great movie. But these are like A Quiet Place and The Descent,
Yeah.
where there's an experience. Doesn't mean they're perfect or the greatest. It's just
No.
A Quiet Place is like that's because there's no sound in that fucking movie. It's weird.
Well, the 1974 Texas Chainsaw made me feel more intensely than the 2003.
Yes.
It
Yeah,
made
which is
it
weird.
it so weird. So weird because even though visually I like 2003 better.
Yeah.
Um, even story-wise, I like 2003 better.
Yeah.
It's a
You
little
just
crowded in
can't.
the story, but I
Yeah.
mean, it works. It makes
Yep.
sense. But 1974 unsettles me more, and it
Yes.
left me with a feeling in my gut. When I finished 2003, I finished 2003. Like, the movie was done, the credits came up, and I was like, "Okay, great, we're done."
Yeah.
1974, I needed to take a break.
Oh yeah. It
Like,
was
I
like,
needed
yeah,
to walk away from my TV, I needed to make some coffee.
there
I
was
was
some
like,
thought.
I'm gonna have to breathe a little bit before I go into 2000 because that was a lot."
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely, and regardless of whether or not you like horror, 1974 hits you a lot deeper than 2003 does.
Yeah.
But 2003 is definitely a more fun, watchable movie.
Yeah.
It's lighter. It's lighter on your feelings, lighter on your like soul. You're just like, you can walk away from that because you're like, creepy sheriff. Most women have met one. So
Yeah.
we're like, whatever.
Yeah.
Still super gross.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, surprisingly, 1974. But I did enjoy 2003. Like you said, it's you
Yeah.
just can't deny the experience of watching 1974.
1974 hit me harder.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It had more of an impact on me.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it had an impact on me until I was done watching it. Because
And yeah,
initially I was like, "Oh god, this is gonna be terrible." And then as soon as the first kill hits, I'm just like, "Oh, oh, oh god, oh Jesus."
yeah,
And then you walk out of it and you're just like, "I need to take a breath." And there was more gore in 2003, but it didn't have the same impact.
no, to the almost no gore at all in
Yeah.
1974. And we're only talking about 2003 because we're doing this podcast. I was talking about 1974 before we came on to do this podcast. I wasn't talking about 2003. I was thinking about 1974. I wasn't thinking about 2003. I was more affected by
Yeah.
1974 and its creepy ass fucking Leatherface. Okay,
True
so
story.
yeah,
Like,
no,
really true
it's
story. Like, 1974 will fuck you up.
which
2003
is
will entertain
a
you.
testament. Yeah, 2003 will entertain me. Yeah, and that's why I think everyone should watch 1974. It's an experience, man.
It is, it's a film experience. The only person I wouldn't recommend watching 2004 or 1974 is someone who's really uncomfortable with violence. Like, if you
Yeah,
are not okay with violence, this is not the movie for you.
no,
But I
no, not at
mean,
all.
if you can handle violence, I think this is a movie everybody should watch because honestly, you learn a lot about filmmaking, you learn a lot about storytelling because even with the crappy script in the beginning that don't make no goddamn sense,
No,
it still leads you
it
to
still
an
gets you from point A to point
yeah, it
B.
gets you from point A to point B clumsily, but it gets you there. And then after that, once you're from point B to point C, which is the end, there's just so much in there that affects you so deeply
Yeah,
and like you don't even realize it's happening until it's done.
yeah, and you're like, it's like that one review. Like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah. You walk away and you're like, I need to digest this shit.
Yeah,
Like I was like, I need to walk away. I need to sit outside for a little bit because that was intense. And you don't even realize it's intense because it sneaks up on you. And then at the end of the movie, you're sitting there going, I think I might need to throw up. Let me think about this.
yeah. All right, so yeah, 1974. But actually, this was probably one of the more out of the ones we did. This was enjoyable. I wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
Nightmare on Elm Street was pretty enjoyable. The two Nightmare on Elm Streets. Yeah.
I did
And
enjoy them.
I like Child's Play 1988 more than you did.
Yeah, no, that was no, none of that.
But
Nope.
yeah, this
Fuck
was
that
the
shit.
first time we picked the original. No, I
Yeah.
picked the original Nightmare on Elm Street, but I did like 2010. But yeah, this is the first time we
Yeah. Well, even though these two
Hands
movies,
down, the original was
yeah,
better.
even though
Yeah.
these two movies are very similar, they're also very, very different.
Yes. Yeah.
Similar content, very different impact.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you for sticking with us. If you are going to the next Chainsaw movie, the same ending will be tacked on. If you're going to watch the next podcast, the ending will be the same. But anything you want to add?
No, other than I probably won't watch a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie for a while now.
Actually, see, I was going to go on and watch the sequel to the 2003 one with the same
No.
sheriff, and actually, it's the same cast, the weirdos,
Yeah.
exact the trailer ladies, the mother, the
Yeah,
same
no.
same sheriff, everything.
I'm done with creepy for right now. I'm done
All
with
right.
the unsettling. I'm good.
Well, then, thank you for joining us, and until the next movie we remember liking. Bye.
Bye.